Oh, and welcome to the round 4 of this Uppsala Jazz Festival. My name is Fiona Anthony, and let me get my bag out of the way. And there you go. So today it is only me, unfortunately. Jesper has left us. He's gone back home to Lund, where plenty of work awaits. But today it will be me. Tomorrow I'll be joined by Grandmaster Harry Schüssler. We've done some commentary before at the Wilton Cup together, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But first things first, today, round 4, plenty more action to look forward to. As always, 5 games in the GM group, 5 games in the IM group 1, and 5 games in the IM group 2. And we will start with the GM group today. We've added the standings below, so as you can see, and we're working on during the break, we'll set up the standings for the IM groups as well. So from later on onwards, you'll be able to see them all. Sam is in the chat, such sweet thunder. Hello, Sam. My apologies. Sam was here an hour ago. I had announced yesterday that we would start at 2 p.m., but that the round was pushed forward an hour because this morning there was one game from the GM group which had to be not replayed, but they hadn't played the game yet. And tournament regulations are such that there needs to be a 2-hour break in between the games. So games have just gotten underway 10 minutes ago. And let's jump into the action. Maybe we should start with our tournament leader. As you can see there below me, the Ukrainians have taken the lead in the tournament. Currently, Platon Galperin is leading on a perfect 3 out of 3 score, and today he's playing against Milton Panzer, who's also had a very solid start. He's on 2 out of 3. Milton with the white pieces, so he will be looking to do something today against his Ukrainian opponent. I've actually been debating, now that I'm by myself, should I use an engine, should I continue without? I've come to the conclusion that I will work without an engine. I think that will be more fun. It would also mean that I will see a lot less things, but that's why you guys are here. So today, since it's only me, I'm counting on you. Counting on you to keep me company, ask me questions, make suggestions, and just generally discuss the games. I see Flix is also in the chat saying he was actually gonna come to this festival, but school starts soon. That's a pity, of course, but yesterday we had tournament organizer Carl Frederick with us in the studio, who said he is planning to make this a yearly event. So hopefully we can have you here with us next year. Bob is here as well. Priyanshu, hello everyone, welcome. So as I said, today, serious commentary. The over the board action is going on just next door, but it's just me. So if the chat wants to send suggestions, questions, you're always welcome to. So we had these kind of Indian games. It's not the Nimzo. White avoids the Nimzo by playing knight f3, and I think with Jesper we've discussed this a little bit. How do you meet this check? Do you play bishop d2? Do you play knight c3? Do you play knight d2? I think all of them are options. Here white went with bishop d2 and a5. So all of these systems I'm not too familiar with. I wonder, is a5? a5 seems to have been played a lot. I don't think it's the main line, but we're still following some very much played theory here. White continues the development with bishop g2. Very often this bishop on this diagonal, as we also saw with Jesper in the previous days, often black will meet it either with this solid c6, or as in this case with castles queen c2 and c5. So c5, this looks like a much more ambitious approach for black. Black is not just looking to cement this pawn structure, but black is immediately fighting in the center. This is one of those positions, we talked about them with Sam in our last lesson. There is a lot going on here right now. These 4 pawns in the center all facing one another. Well, they're not exactly in the center. This would be the center, but the center plus 1 row, let's say. There is also the question of this bishop. It's very rare, I think, that you will see this bishop locked out in the enemy half of the board, locked out by their own pawns. But of course, the bishop always has the option to exchange itself. One thing that you have to be mindful about, let's say if white castled right now, I think you would have to probably exchange in this moment, because if you play another move, let's say for example knight c6, I think white could probably already remove this bishop to anywhere really, but let's say for the sake of argument to c1, and on the next move this could be a problem. So you have to be mindful. Maybe a4 still is still fine, but just to demonstrate the problem. So this bishop, when it's locked out by the bishops, at some point it is looking to exchange itself. So back to the game. So as I mentioned, a lot of tension here in the center. You could take here, you could take here, you could take here, you could kick the bishop, you could just do nothing, you could just castle. So a lot of options here for white, but Milton decided to capture on d5, which makes sense. Now this bishop on this long diagonal is going to be looking at a pawn. Well, actually no, I thought that black had recaptured here, which is actually probably not an option, because this pawn would just be hanging, and I guess we can take that, and so that's why black cannot do that. Instead black captured on d4, and we have a very funny pawn structure here in the center. Good afternoon, Gazmag. And knight takes d4 was played now. I'm curious what is going to happen here. You could potentially imagine that there is going to be some mass liquidations, but let's see. What is interesting now is that black plays queen b6. Black does not continue capturing. I don't think that there was anything wrong with the capture on d5. Let me know if you see anything. I think this looks fine for black to me. But queen b6 hitting the knight on d4, and I guess we can always recapture on d5 on the next move. So queen b6, actually a nice tempo move, attacking the enemy knight. White plays e3 to defend the knight, and now e takes d5, and we're back to even material. We're also back to the live position on the board right now, and it's an interesting structure. I don't know how I feel. I feel it's quite an ambitious choice by black. Definitely a very active choice. Black, refrained from going for these solid structures. This position is very open already, and there's this isolated pawn. We've talked quite a lot, well, in general in chess we talk quite a lot about isolated pawns. The question is this pawn a strength? Is it a weakness? I have to say, in this case, in general, what you want when you're playing with the isolated pawn is some active piece play. I would be a little bit concerned with this bishop on this long diagonal, this bishop hitting at the pawn, and black, well, what is an isolated pawn? It's when there is no pawns on either side that can defend the pawn. So at first sight, I would like white here, but I mean, look at the time. Black has played into this. Black has basically made every move immediately. He is up 4 minutes compared to his starting time. So all of this is exactly what black wanted. And who am I to say I would prefer white here? It can be very unpleasant actually when you are met with some big preparation. I don't know, has Milton seen this all before? Is he on his own now? If I look at the openings book, there's still some 20 games have been played in this position, so could very well be that both players are still in familiar territory. The most played move here is castles, and other moves are knight c3 or the exchange on b4. So we will see what Milton comes up with. But an interesting fight here between the two youngsters. So let's move on. And let's go maybe to the other Ukrainian who's currently in second place behind Platon. That's Emil Mirzoev, and he's playing against Isaac Stormer today. Isaac has had a rough start to the tournament. He's one of the two players together with Khan Kukushari, who's still on 0 out of 3. So for Isaac, let's also remind everyone, Isaac played this game that was played this morning to catch up with the rest of the field. So he's already played one game today. This will be a tough day. Playing 2 double rounds in a row is not easy, but with the white pieces, Isaac will be looking to at least get into the tournament. It's so important in those spots, especially when it's closed tournaments. You will never get an easy game. You will never get an easy opponent. It's very important. I think the Russians call it stop the bleeding, or whoever calls it stop the bleeding. It's so important to stop the bleeding and at least, you know, get off the mark. So that is what Isaac will be looking to do here. But once again, we see a very, very ambitious approach by Black, the Benoni. It's not without its risk, but the Benoni always indicates Black wants a fight. I have to say the Benoni structures, I've never really played them from either side. So I'm going to rely quite a bit on the book here to see what's going on. Also on your input, as always. But it looks like all of this is mainline stuff. And I'm curious why has so much time been spent here? Knight e2. Okay, so this is the first moment. This is the first moment in the game where it looks like something interesting has happened, because the main move is knight f3. Also bishop d3 has been played a lot. f4 has been played a lot. h3 has been played a lot. Bishop e2 has been played a lot. f3, bishop g5, and excuse my arrows. And only the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only the 8th most played move, knight e2, was chosen here by Isaac. And Chucky Thompson in the chat, hello by the way, is saying that Ivan Ivanisevic has a very good book on this topic. So for anyone who's interested, you can check that out. Also hello to Being Bad at Chess. A delayed banco. I don't know. I don't know if there are some lines in the Benoni which just lead to delayed banco with some b5 at some point. b5, I'm sure, is a move here. In fact, b5 is the second most played move. The most played by far is castles, but b5 absolutely seems to be an option. And I think for Emil it will be very much a question of how much risk does he want to play today. He is on 2.5 out of 3, playing a player who's on 0. So despite the black pieces in general, in close tournaments in general, you will very, very quickly get a mark on your back when you've had a tough start, and the players will want to beat you. So I have to say, I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw the move b5 here, a pawn sacrifice by getting a lot of active play. So an exciting battle, and we'll keep our eyes on it. I think what we're gonna do today is we're going to jump through the openings quite quickly. Just see what is going on. Oh, this is a heartbreaker for me. Why do you do this to me, Tiger? It's only move 9 and the queens have left the board. Or is it Khan? How are we going to blame? Let's see, how did those queens come off so soon? So what even is this? Once again, I'm showing my lack of opening names knowledge. Who in the chat? Someone help me. What is this even called? I know this has I think this has a name. Nothing more to say about that then, no? Nothing more being bad. Now I'm looking for something to say about this. I'm looking, but I'm just gonna click through the moves until someone says something, something. Apparently this was played by Motilev a few days ago against Shigaev, which is interesting. Those are, Motilev is a big opening specialist. So black immediately recaptures that pawn on c5. One of the things here, of course, in general, you're told don't get the queen out too early. Here the queen went out to recapture that pawn, and it looks like white was happy to trade that queen. To be fair, that pawn was now attacked. I don't know, can you play other moves like e3, maybe even e4 to defend the pawn that way? I think here, well, I just had a quick look at the book here, the opening book, and there's already only been 5 games in this position, so let me tell you, and we know that Tiger likes his offbeat stuff. c5 is already quite rarely played, but then after white's next move, taking on c5, we're already completely off the beaten track. So let's see what happened here. Knight c3, queen a4, and the queen trade was offered by Tiger. So this is a general. We'll just call this the Let's Play Chess opening. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this doesn't have an exact name. Maybe we'll find out someday. So queen c6, and not just offering the trade of queens, but forcing the trade of queens. If black wants the queens off, there is nothing white can do because the rook on h1 is hit. So knight f3, blocking that diagonal, and Tiger shows he is very happy to trade the queens here. So move 8, the queens are gone, and I think this very much leads back to what Jesper was saying yesterday. In one of the games, we saw that Mihail Marin was playing against one of his younger opponents. Very often, I think these experienced grandmasters will be happy to play something that's not super theoretical, that's not super sharp. They will even, in some cases, as here, be happy to trade the queens early doors, and just get a position where basically exactly that, they will just play chess, and they are hoping to rely on their experience, on their understanding of structures, of where do the pieces belong. We were talking about talk to your pieces, and here, although the queens are off, all the other pieces are still on the board, and it will be quite important to determine not just a one move plan of where does this piece want to go right now, but where do the pieces want to go long term? What pawn structures do we want to aim for? And I think Tiger, with his opening choice, clearly showed, I want to show my superiority in terms of those understandings over my young opponent, who also can, by the way, just like Isaac, started with 0 out of 3 here in Uppsala, so a tough start to the tournament, but today he will also be looking to get off the mark, both Isaac and Khan playing with the white pieces. And that is the position on the board right now. Good afternoon, Maripant. Maripant knows a lot more about chess openings than I do, so hopefully she's not at work. Hopefully she can hear me. Sam as well. And let's continue. So we've seen Tiger, we've seen Isaac, we've seen Milton. So let's go to Jungmin Seo, who's playing against Kazakowski. And we've had a queen's gambit declined here. So this at least is something that I've played myself, but not with bishop b4. But it looks like we're going to get something much more along the well-trodden path here. Some standard pawn structures. Bullet Mercenary, hello. Maripant, that's what I want to hear. That's great news. And a lot of pieces have been exchanged already here early doors, and once again we see this pawn break c5 immediately hitting at this perfect white center with the pawns on d4 and e4. Castles, castles. This is also a game where I'm curious, what are the players' ambitions? I think Eugene, he lost yesterday evening a tough and long game to Tiger, and he has made no secret he wants to get his final GM norm here in Uppsala. So I think with the white pieces today he will be looking to get that full point. He's currently on 50%, 1.5 out of 3. And let's see, e5 hitting the queen drops back to d8 and knight e4. So we can see, first of all, that knight is moving away from there where the bishop could capture it. So in some lines that bishop might look a bit silly. That bishop's probably going to have to drop back here, or as we're going to see, black just captured here on d4 and then drop the bishop back to e7. But I have to say, without being an expert on the concrete opening here, and hello to everyone who has just joined us in the chats, Marin, Anuran, good to see everyone. Although I'm not too familiar with these structures, I kind of like this for white. I have a lot of pieces already on the king side. I have a nice pawn on e5. That pawn covers a very important square, the square on f6. Why is that so important? Because very often the knight would like to defend, if there is an attack, would like to defend from f6. So that pawn is very often a thorn. It can also be used in more positional ways if the knight were to ever jump into d6. And of course, one factor I have not talked about yet is white did give up a pawn to get this position. He did not recapture when white captured on d4, so that pawn on d4 is currently an extra pawn. An extra pawn for black. I don't think black will be able to hold on to it, because we could see white playing some rook d1, even if you then, so let me just make the moves on the board. As I think you already know, if the board gets a lighter hue of blue, that means it's my analysis. Black can try to hold on to the pawn for a little bit, but I think white can just gang up. In the worst case, give up the bishop. I think this pawn, in the long term, will be doomed. Then black still has the advantage of the bishop here, which I'm not sure how big of an advantage it is here. This bishop for now cannot be developed along this diagonal, so either we might see some b6, bishop b7, or maybe bishop d7 to c6. But yeah, exactly what Maripant is saying. Once we pick up this pawn, then we could very well see the knight jump into a lovely outpost on d6. So my feeling is, I like white. Black is up a pawn, but I think black will have to act quite quickly here. I think if black just plays some normal slow moves, I think white could very, very quickly get a big initiative here. So I'm liking this for Jung-min. My feeling is he will be quite happy, but remember, I'm only relying on my feeling here. I'm not using an engine or anything. So we will see how this one develops, but I'm very excited. Very excited to see what happens in this game. And finally, the last game we have not seen yet is Mikhail Marin against Ludwig Carlson, where we had something quiet. We had something quiet. The King's Indian attack, apparently, by the looks of it. And I'm just gonna play through this a bit quicker, because I'm struggling. I'm gonna struggle to explain the nuances of this opening, but this is going to be a very positional fight. The only thing that has been exchanged is a pair is a pair of pawns. And this once again will be very much Mihail and Marin trying to get the game out. You know, no Najdorfs, no sharp theoretical debates. White plays a double fianchetto. I actually like the look of this bishop. This bishop on b2 will be putting pressure on the pawn on e5. On the other hand, this pin might be a little bit annoying for now. The question is, what does white do? I don't think white wants to push c4 because then you forever give up this outpost on d4. So I don't think c4 is something you want to do. I don't think c3 is necessarily what you want to do either, but maybe you have to stop. I don't know how big a threat knight d4 is. If I were white, I would feel this would be a little annoying, but yeah, a very long and well, a very positional struggle ahead here. One thing I wonder is, can we kick away this bishop? A move I would like, one thing I wonder is, what do I do with this queen? That's why I was looking at, can I play c3 or c4, because I think this queen would like to go here if the queen goes to e2, which looks like a normal developing square at first sight. Now knight d4 would come with tempo. Of course we cannot capture because that knight is pinned. We definitely don't want to give up our bishop, so the queen would have to move again, and still I don't think there is any great squares. This is also attacked, so the queen would have to step somewhere here, but none of this is what we want to do. And in fact, Mihail Marin has played one of the moves I was talking about, c3, so covering the square on d4, and now the queen might be able to get out somewhere along this diagonal on the queen side, either to c2, b3, a4. I think all of those are reasonable squares. Lone Wolf, thank you so much for the 100 bits. I'm already starting to realize my first mistake for today in the solo commentary. My first mistake is that the more I talk, the more you talk, the thirstier you get. So maybe I will send lovely Axel on a mission to get me some still water, if that's possible. Thank you so much. So yeah, gotta keep those vocal cords hydrated. Okay, so I think we've made a tour of all our games of the GM group. Barry, thank you so much for the 3 months. Thank you. So let's go to the first IM group. And as I said during the first break, Axel, he's doing such a great job. He's not in the room right now. He's only 16 years old. I think he's doing some kind of school placement work here. First time doing this kind of job, but he's been brilliant. So during the first break, we are going to make sure we also have the updated standings for the IM group 1 and 2. Okay, finally some e4 action. Hallelujah. We didn't have a single 1e4 game, if I'm not mistaken, in the GM group. So what do we get here? I think we have we not seen, who has been paying attention for the first 3 rounds? I'm not sure if we have seen a single e4, e5 game. Thank you. I'm not sure if we've seen a single Rui Lopez, a single Italian game, a single Scotch. So e4, e5 has very much gone out of fashion. Sam, I can see your test. So what do we get here? We do get a Najdorf. We had a Najdorf yesterday. It led to a very, very sharp game, as it always does. And I think all of this, once again, main theory, the Najdorf, another one of the openings I've always shied away from with both colors. In general, I've mostly shied away from openings where you have to have a lot of theoretical knowledge. I think I was a bit lazy in that way, but also preferred to play openings where if you forget one move, it's not the end of the world. The Najdorf is an opening, for example. If you forget one single move, you might just be lost on the spot, which was not really my jam. But for people who work harder on their chess, the Najdorf, of course, leads to super rich positions. And I'm seeing that the move that was played now by Samir Sahidi is actually only the fifth most played in this position. Looks like the very main move is bishop e7, followed by knight d7, followed by h5, followed by knight c6, and finally b5. Quite a rare choice by black, and it looks like it did get Theodor Kenniskog to think a little bit before responding with a4, so immediately attacking that pawn chain. I think black cannot really take, because opening up, if the a file opens up, the pawn on a6 would just be too weak, and of course we also cannot let white capture, because black would not be able to recapture once again because of this a file and because the pawn would be hanging. So I think b4 is pretty much forced here. The knight jumps into that lovely outpost on d5, and bishop takes. So I think very often here it's normal that this bishop will give itself up, and now black is looking to complete the development, and white spends another move on a5, so clamping down, stopping black from ever playing a5 himself. And a5 is an interesting move. First of all, it secures this square on b6, and some lines bishop e6 could potentially be a little bit annoying, but also this pawn. This pawn should be a long-term weakness, because we have no a5 or c5 moves at our disposal to defend the pawn. So that's what I like for white. What I don't like for white is the state of this king on e1. As a certain Mr. Ben Feinkel says, don't play f3. Of course, this was part of the theory here. But especially with this pawn now gone, the pawn on f3 is looking a little bit silly. I think we would love to have this position instead, which will just mean our king will be less weakened in the future. Let's see, has anything else been played here? No, but also what's interesting is the time usage here. I'm surprised. If I didn't see the clocks, I would think that white might have been the one to spend more time, since it looks like black was the first one to play a more offbeat move. But who knows? Maybe we never know. Is the Najdorf Sahidi's main opening? Is it not? Who was surprised when? Marin likes the a5 move. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I like it too. If I were black, I would already be very concerned. How am I going to defend this pawn, which is going to be quite easy for white to attack, potentially come back here, but also here. Maybe rook a4 is a move. Also a6. I mean, it's not just b4 that I'm concerned about. Also the pawn on a6 might be weak as well. As soon as the rook moves, this bishop on f1 would be targeting it. And black goes for queen c7. So maybe black will be looking to get some play on the c file. There was one more thing I was going to say, but what was it? What else was I going to say? Well, I'm already forgetting now. Of course, a pawn that black might... Yeah, I was going to talk about this knight. This knight is also probably the knight is going to go via d7, because c6 is controlled. But even when it goes to b7, to d7, then it cannot go to b6. So c5 will be the only route. But I don't know how good or bad that is. And it takes some time. I'm curious, can we play bishop b6 here? If we play bishop b6, where is that queen going to go? Maybe to b7 to... Maybe to b7 to put some pressure on this pawn. Because there's not so many alternatives. I don't think queen d7 makes much sense. I don't think queen c8 makes much sense. So let's see, queen b7. And as far as I can see, the only move to defend this pawn is bishop c4. I don't know, I was thinking maybe castles with the idea of playing rook c8. But what if I just play a move like queen d3? Ah, there was a knight d7. Here, maybe. Yeah, so maybe bishop d6. Maybe Marin is right. Maybe bishop e6 would only help black because we're only hitting this queen. Maybe the queen will be happy on b7 anyway, so probably bishop b6 doesn't make too much sense. Instead, she was thinking about bishop d3. Bishop d3, of course, that's always a diagonal where we would be happy to be, and as she points out, knight takes d5. I think we do indeed. Although bishop e4, I don't think this is working, because this bishop here is annoyingly unprotected and annoyingly hitting at our queen, and also, or do we have anything here? I think in the worst case black can take here. And this should be, what is this? This is 2 extra pawns for black. So then maybe first queen d2. I wonder though, can we do that, or is that completely ridiculous? This jack takes and takes. Now b5 is hanging, but maybe just queen c6 and black is fine. Or is he? I don't know, maybe there's a little something here. But I guess d5, no, I don't really believe in this. Maybe I should believe more, I don't know. Let me go back for a second. So queen takes. I think queen c6 is forced because this is attacked, this is attacked. I definitely don't want to swap queens. Maybe rook d1, yeah. The question is this worth giving up a pawn? If black just... I'm a bit concerned that black is just going to continue developing. Also, if we move the rook to d1 at some point, this pawn, if this pawn falls, then I think we definitely don't have anything. I don't know, can we do... I wish I believed in this, but I don't. I think it's a bit too much. I think it looks promising, but it's a bit too much. So maybe instead of bishop d3, Lost Duty is saying, where was that line? Queen takes c6. And the other line after rook d1. Queen takes, bishop b6 and rook d5. Very interesting, actually. And I like that suggestion. I like that suggestion a lot. Yeah, this is not so easy. Now black cannot really play bishop d8 because we can take on d6. And this is a big threat, and we're clamping down on those light squares. Maybe this is an option. Maybe this is an option. Very nice. I love your suggestion, Lost Duty. So we'll see. White is spending some time here. Very, very interesting stuff. We will come back. We will come back to this, but I'm curious. Bishop d3 might be an option. If not, there is many others. But I'm curious to see what path is white going to take. Okay, we'll come back to this one. Let's continue our little tour. So, in this game we have Adrian Söderström. Actually, I never... Let me see one thing. No. Never mind me. Okay, what did we have here? c4, knight f6. I'm very unlucky. I mean, all of these openings, the King's Indians, I've never played. I know I haven't played too many openings, but today we literally got no openings that I have knowledge in. So all I can say is usually the King's Indian will lead to super exciting positions, but this isn't very often. When I think King's Indian, I think f5, and I think a pawn storm on the king side. So we'll just call this the quieter King's Indian. We'll call this the quieter King's Indian. We actually still in book here. All of this has seen before. Adrian has played very quickly. I think I'll just come back here. We'll just come back here later. So far, black only playing on the first three ranks. White has, of course, has more space, has more control over the center, but these are sneaky positions where where black is getting ready to strike. Is it going to be an e6 push? The king getting out of the way here could mean we will see at some point some f5. Hopefully there's a lot more action to come in this game, but we will come back here. I think this game, that's the game that is broken, so this one we will skip as well. And let's go to Edwin Trost against Axel Falkewall. A lot has happened here already. What was this? Okay, so we had this modern line of the Slav, but where did we get some? Where did this? Okay, bishop e6 is a more rare move. Usually black continues with bishop g7. Here, if white wanted a draw, he could go back to c4, and we could see a repetition like this. Of course, that's not what Edwin wants, so he goes to b3. Goes to b3 and queen b6, and once again we see the queens come off early doors. White finds himself with this pawn structure, so those are double isolated pawns. They're not necessarily bad. There are some cases in which double isolated pawns are really bad, but here, as we can see, they control a lot of squares. It also means white gets a semi-open file to work with. So very interesting position here. And also, if white had not wanted this pawn structure, he was not forced to play e3. He could have either taken himself. Moving the queen, actually, there were already no squares, I don't think, for the queen. So I think this whole thing was more or less forced. How do you defend against knight b4? Well, We are going to find out because knight b4 was played, threatening a big fork on c2. And Edwin decided to defend with king d2. King d2, and I don't think the knight could potentially still jump, but there's nothing to do here for the knight after rook c1. It will have to be to jump back out, and I don't think you've gained anything here. So black is just continuing with the development, as does white. But I agree with Marin. I feel that this opening has gone well for Axel. I don't know if d2 doesn't feel like that's the square where the king wants to be. Could be, of course. I also don't know, is black even planning to castle, or can that king just maybe stay in the center immediately? A very rich middle game here, queenless middle game. And yeah, I just wonder that king on d2, can black quickly get a rook onto the d file, maybe look for some e5 at some point? Yeah, that's what Marin is thinking, a quick mate in the middle of the board. I wonder, is black thinking along those lines as well? We will see. We will see. We will continue our tour for now. But just because the queen's off doesn't mean there is nothing, doesn't mean there is no danger here to the white king. Swim, thank you so much, I appreciate that. Okay, next up we have Maria Eugenia. Maria yesterday fought so valiantly. She had a very difficult position out of the opening, bordering on lost, but she fought back amazingly, salvaged the draw. Maybe she was even pressing. Let me go back. Sam was saying knight. Whoa. Oh, I skipped. Did I skip? What is this? Did we skip this game? I thought we had seen Adrian's game. Oh, there is a problem. There are 6 games in here. Then I'm confused. Because we saw... Let me find out. Let me find out real quick over here who is actually playing. Give me 1 second, because that other game looks exciting. So I am group 1. And this is round 4. So Adrian is playing white against Lord Kipanidze. And what is this other game? Martin Jogstad, he's playing here. So this game, this exciting game, I don't know whose game it is. I'll go into, very soon we'll have a first break and I'll go into the playing hall and find out, is this a game, and if so, who is playing it? Because it's not who it says it is, but hopefully it is happening. So back to the question, Sam was asking, what about knight g4? I think knight g4 can be interesting in some spots for sure. Once again, maybe linked with the idea, linked to the idea of maybe some e5. But the problem with knight here immediately is, what do we do after h3? I think if the knight just has to jump back, if there is... sorry, f2 is attacked. What am I talking about? Never mind me. La la la. Okay, knight g4. Okay, then... and go to e4. So I have to defend that pawn. This is... which one is Jogstad? This one that we're looking at right now. Could be that I've got all the names wrong. What this is Jokstad. I think this is Jokstad's game against Jan. What could be happening is that this might be Jan Johansson against Jokstad. Okay, thank you so much, Lone Wolf. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so hopefully maybe it will even get... Let me maybe do a refresh. Maybe that will help. Doesn't help, but we'll remember it. Okay, thank you. And next up, we've got Maria Eugenia. So we were just talking about her heroics yesterday. And yeah, knight g4 and bishop h6. Interesting, for sure. We'll come back to that in a little bit. For now, let's see. What is this now? Some kind of Pichts by transposition. I mean, this is the kind of position, finally, I feel in somewhat familiar territory. I love these f4 positions in general for white. But here, because black has not castled yet, I'm a little bit concerned. Well, I don't know if I'm concerned, but I think black might be looking to castle queenside and just get some attack on the king side. Lone Wolf, what I'm gonna do very soon, we'll take a break and I'll go into the playing hall and have a look. But thank you so much for your help. Well, this is just a very super interesting position. First of all, what is Maria going to do? Knight c3 looks like the normal developing move. I've had these kind of positions very often before. Very often I have the bishop out on c4. But here the question is black going to castle queenside? Will we see some h5 push? Will we see maybe some takes here and some knight here? Time will tell. I think Maria is going to take some time now. Although it's her opponent Hilmir. He's been spending a lot of time to get to this. So we'll have a look. Okay, very quick look at the 5 games, and this time I won't go, we're now 1 hour into the games, I won't go over the openings. A very quick assessment of the 5 games of the IM group, and then we'll take our first break of the day. So first we have Dago Ragnarsson from Iceland playing against Thomas Ernst. And what do we have? Even material. White has a lot more space with those 3 pawns on c4, d4, f4. The bishop will be looking, I guess, to go to g2 and then finally complete the development. The question is, can black do anything before white gets fully developed? Is black potentially looking for some e5 push? That might be white here. White has played d6 on the last move. And this pin is annoying as well. This is a very sharp position. At first sight, I liked white, but suddenly if this king isn't in time to... Actually, I don't know, Axel, can we get the mic a little bit closer? Or is it the cable? Huh? Okay, what we're going to do is we'll fix it. We'll get the mic closer during the break. Otherwise, I'll just have to shout. The sound is okay. For other people, the sound is fine. What we'll do during the break, we'll just see if we can get the mic a little bit closer, but good to hear that it's fine for a lot of people. Okay, so yeah, actually I'm not sure if I like this so much for Dagor at second sight. The problem being this king that is stuck in the center. I'm a little bit concerned about that king. So we will see, moving on to the other Icelander, Vignir Stefansson playing against Kim Nygren. And once again, what is this madness? What is this piece formation. And look at white's development. But on the other hand, at least white has castled already. Once again, material is even. I wonder, can we just try and break in the center, or should we not do anything crazy, just develop our last pieces? What will we call? We'll call this dynamic equality, although I am very, very unsure that this is equal at all. I would probably prefer to play white, but I'm far from certain. Also, if black just castles queenside and launches some attack at me, then I'm suddenly not sure I'd want to be white any longer. So this one, I'm looking forward to seeing more of this, to see, is black going to go for the more reasonable queenside castles, or are we going to go on kingside, or are we going to go queenside and go bananas on the kingside? We will see. Next up, Konstantin Borsuk against Leo Krevatin. And this came from some Queen's Gambit declined. This is more quiet. Here we don't need to give an immediate assessment. I think this is probably still a book position. Yeah, this has all been seen before, so we will come back here. In general, I think these positions tend to be quite equal. Yeah, exactly. Single one. Boring. Boring structures. This one we'll come back to in a little bit. We'll come back in a little bit. Pizza Racer, hello. Alexander Hacht on the white side against William Olson. What is this now? What is this? Let's go back a couple of moves. Bishop takes, knight b3, f5, and bishop h3. Okay, so this is an interesting pin. Black cannot unpin because then this pawn would fall. So if you want to unpin, you'll have to first defend the pawn, then move the queen away. But it all looks quite time costly. On the other hand, white might be getting ready for some knight c5 jumps. Also, white might be getting ready to put some more pressure on this pawn. I like this. My quick fire assessment is I like this position for William. Also, it just strikes me as quite unpleasant to play for black. Not so easy to find a move at all here, let alone a plan. So I like this. And finally, the last game we look at before the break is Uppsala's very own Joachim Nilsson, who's playing with black against Torsten Limbach, the lowest rated player in the tournament. And what do we have here? Another of these solid pawn structures, but here Joachim has gotten the bishop pair. I don't know, let's see here, h6, yeah, so I guess white was probably forced to give up that bishop. And with the bishop pair, I like this. I like this for white. I'm also not sure, should that pawn be here? Are there not going to be potentially some holes on the dark squares? A little bit surprised by this last move, actually, bishop h5. I thought the bishop was looking nice along this diagonal. What is the idea behind bishop h5? Maybe the idea is just to take and to take that pawn. But then still, I can't believe this is the idea with b7 hanging at the end of the diagonal. Okay, we will come back to this one. But a nice time edge already for Joachim. So let me just go back to the IM1 group and see what was... This was the game that I need to find out who is playing this game. It will be an easy game to recognize. So we're going to take our first break of the day. We'll also fix the standings, get the standings from the IM groups. Oops, ready for you guys. So thanks for watching. I'll be back in about 10 minutes, so don't go anywhere. I'll see you very soon. And we are back again here from round 4 of the Uppsala Chess Festival. And I've gone back to the GM group. We haven't looked at that in a while. That's where most of our focus will be for the coming hours. We're almost an hour almost an hour and a half into the round. I've tried to find a position where at least the queens are still on the board. We've seen the queens disappear in a lot of games, but I will start with this Jung-Min game. So we left this off. Sorry, here, of course, after the pawn sacrifice. Knight g3. Knight g3 is not a move I had on my radar, but I guess that knight is looking either to jump forward or to actually what will have happened. Knight d7. Knight mostly was freeing up this big e4 square for the queen. Did the standings change? Nope, I hope not. How did they change, Marin? Yeah, I actually, Lone Wolf, talking about, I had the standings. Yeah, we can show you what we did. If I bring up a game from the IM tournament, we just prepared the standings for all the groups. So this is IM1, the IM1 group. So what we did during the break is we set up all the standings for the different groups. So now when I go to a different tournament, you will see the updated. Are they? We're still seeing the GM, right? I think we need to hide the GM. I think they're on top. No? Maybe I'm just lagging behind. I can see. Who do you see at the top? Galperin, yeah? Huh?
I see Platon.
But Platon, he's in the GM group. Let's see. Let's see. But we need the IM1, yeah?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. So now we see the IM1. So that's what we were doing during the break, just so you can see the updated standings in each tournament. And we can do the same as well for IM3. IM2, sorry. I'm trying to confuse everyone and everything. But yeah, so that's what we were doing during the break. And let's put back the GM1, the GM standing, since that is where I will be going. And then my other mission during the break was to find out what happened with those boards. And the second mission, I have to say, I failed. I didn't have much time in the playing hall because we did the standings, and then I went to get a coffee, then I went to the bathroom, and then I went into the playing hall, and I had a quick look, and I could not see. I could not see. We've been wondering whose game this is. I didn't see it on any board. I thought I would spot it easily. So either that game isn't being played right now, or I was blind. With it being more likely that I was just blind, so I'll keep this a mission. It will be another mission, an ongoing mission for the second break. Hello, Brady. But there is one very interesting game actually going on in that other group, so we will get back to that. But for now, let's focus on the GM group and this Jung-Min game. So as I said, knight g3. The idea was to free up that square for the queen. And actually, let me refresh, because I think the moves have somehow jumped around a little bit. Okay, so after rook d8, so knight g3, rook d8, bishop d3, and Jung-Min, he's setting up the Fioni. Here it is in full swing. I was talking earlier about how useful it is to have the pawn here so that the knight cannot defend via f6. But of course, the other square that the knight loves to be a defender on is f8. I think there is even a saying, something like Knight on f8, there is no mate. And I don't think I've made that up. If I have, let me know. But the knight here is a great protector, protecting g6, but more importantly, the mate on h7. So knight f8, but Min is bringing some more attackers forward. Knight h5, bishop d7, and queen g4 now. So now we're threatening another impossible to mate with a knight on f8. That's the one. Thank you, Brady. So now another mate is threatened on g7 this time, and black goes g6. Oh, if I were white here, I'd be getting very excited. First of all, g6, black has no threat. Black is not threatening to take our knight because of the pin along the g-file. So we have some time. But what are we going to do with that time that we have? I was wondering, in the worst case, can I just take that? But definitely not, because I can't give up this pawn. I don't think I want to do something slow like rook e1, but maybe if there is nothing better. One question, I'm running a little bit out of pieces here for my what I was intending to be a checkmate attack. How do we continue the attack? This is your time to shine in the chat. How do we continue? I would love to get some h4, h5, or f4, f5. Somehow these knights are a little bit in the way. I would love to improve this knight, but this knight is for now doing a very important job defending the pawn on e5. Knight f6 is an interesting option, maybe. Knight f6. And if black takes, I think this should be decent for us, and then we can follow up with h4, h5. What's going on here? Brady is suggesting rook c1. We'll look at that in a second. I was just wondering, and if black doesn't take, I'm wondering, is black threatening to take twice here? I don't think so. Maybe we can still go h4. And if black were to take twice here, we'll take here. He has gone knight f6. Party time. I've spotted my first move. Guessed my first move of the day. Rook c1. I think the rook is actually quite happy on d1. Putting some pressure, even if just indirectly for the moment. Rook c1 would of course hit the queen, but that queen has a lot of squares it might be happy to go to. It is an option for sure, but I think the queen is happy. I think we were looking for something a bit more direct, and knight f6 might be just that. Knight f6. I like this for Min. We'll come back to it, but I very much like what I'm seeing. Okay, moving on. Mihail, Marin. I thought the queens had come off here. Was I hallucinating? This is a position where everything is still on the board. I know we had left this one at c3. Sorry, this was the position where everything was still there, and I was anticipating a lot of maneuvering. Black has just played bishop h3, and I think black would be happy, indicates he's happy to exchange those bishops. Now for white, I'm curious, as white, I think white has two options to deal with this bishop h3 move. Either ignore it or drop the bishop back. But I feel that this bishop is not such a monster on this diagonal. It's biting onto its own pawn, and I think we don't mind. Black capturing on g2. Maybe we just play a normal move like rook 8 to d1. We will see. what Mihail comes up with. We'll come back here when things either heaten up or some pieces come off and it's easier to understand. I think black's position is fine, actually. I think this bishop on b6 is a lovely piece. There might be some knight g4 in the end. Yeah, actually, Jackster, I was just saying it as Jackster was writing it in the chat. There might be some knight g4 in the end, in the air. f2 is a bit tender. And I'm not sure what's going on with this bishop on b2. This bishop would love to open up someday, but as soon as we play c4, there will always be this problem on the d4 square. So, I'm not sure. I think I like black, actually. I like Ludwig's position. We will come back here. For now, let's go to our tournament leader. And wow, a lot has happened here. Where did we leave this one off? We left it off somewhere around here. Okay. Queen a4, stepping out of that c file. Knight e4, h3, let's see, because so much has happened. So white gave up the pawn on b2. Did we have to do that? So when we played queen a4, we gave up the defense of that pawn. But maybe there were just not so many squares we could go to. This was a threat with the discovery on the queen. I think if we go here, we allow knight e4 with tempo. If we went to e2, I don't think we want to step into this. But let's see, first of all, does Milton have any counterplay here? h3, so black took, and black took on b2. It looks at first, as Jackson is saying, it looks at first like this is trapping the queen, but there is one big problem. f2 is hanging. f2 is hanging, and this would be immediate game over with g3 being hanging as well. I don't think this is what... Sorry, let me update. I don't think this is something that Milton would have missed. Oh, rook ab1. Sorry, rook ab1 was actually... we win the pawn back immediately. But why was that pawn not taken now? I'm just confused. Rook b6 was played. Sorry, Jackster. Is winning it back, not winning the queen, yeah. Rook ab1, indeed. And pass point, hello, welcome to the show. So rook b6, why not take that pawn? Why not take that pawn? Because of the fork on c5. Okay, we're finding some questions and some answers. So rook b7 was not possible because of the fork. So instead rook b6 was played, pinning the knight here and queen d8. So the queen stepping out of that pin, but also defending the pawn on d5. And white still couldn't capture the pawn because of the same fork. So Milton has just dropped up the rook back to b2. But I'm starting to become doubtful that there was... I think white has some play, because this b pawn will always be tricky, but I'm not sure. Is it quite enough for the pawn? Did Milton really want to give up the pawn to get this, or was maybe knight c5 missed in the beginning of the line? If black can somehow orchestrate get b6 in and make sure that b6 is solid, I think black will be perfectly fine. Those knights are tricky pieces indeed. I still wanted this knight, but I think this knight is actually greatly placed on e4, limiting the scope of that bishop. You know what I just realized? if Milton instead had played king h1, I realized something very important. Then there would be a piece on every single square of this diagonal. Some high-level commentary today. Have you ever seen this? On every single square. King h1 missed indeed. Instead, rook b2. It's still on the cards. Still on the cards next move. But yeah, I think black is doing absolutely fine here. I like the extra pawn, I have to say, for Platon. I also like the extra half hour. I think Milton, he has shown his resourcefulness before in the tournament, but he will have to show it again today. Okay, back to Tiger. This was the game where I was complaining about an early queen swap. This has changed a lot. I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to have a look at the current position. Material is still even. The question is how strong or how weak is this passed pawn? And how big an advantage is it to have a bishop versus the two knights? In general, the bishops, of course, are stronger when they come in pairs, but this bishop is pretty mighty along this long diagonal. It means, for example, we can never play rook a1 to support the pawn from behind. Of course, we could potentially support it from a2, but that's also covered from now. For now, if I were white, I would be happy to, I think, to swap both pairs of rooks, but I'm not entirely sure. How do I do that? Is it time to start bringing the king? What is this? I feel that if I swapped all the rooks, I might be able to use my a-pawn better. That's why I want to bring that king. So let's say if I go king f1, is there any way in which black can annoy me? What if black goes rook a8 and starts attacking my pawn? What if I just take and play king e2? My idea is that I want to meet rook c2 with rook d2, and if the rook goes, I'll just keep chasing the rook, and here the rook cannot go because of the knight. So that's my idea. I have no idea if it's any good, but I just feel I would like to bring the king, because if I can manage to get the rooks off, then the king would love to, of course, join the game and get to support the a-pawn. Mr. Sabon, will Ulf Anderson come to Uppsala to help me out with the endgames? I wish, but unfortunately, I don't think that's in the planning. But tomorrow we will be joined by Harry Schüssler, Grandmaster Harry Schüssler, who I've also done some commentary with in Rilton, and he will be very, very helpful for endgames too. Apparently there was something wrong with this line that I was just talking about, that after king f1, black can just take, well, I mean, oh, sorry. That here black can play rook a8. Yeah? That is a big pity. That is a very big pity, and once again we see this problem. I think this position, actually, the more I look at it, I think I would rather play black, and I think Tiger will be quite happy with what he got here. I think he showed some great understanding in this kind of, position yesterday and today. I would not like to be white here. Maybe it's fine, but you have to be quite precise, because if you lose the a-pawn, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer forever. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to Isaac Stormer against Stormer. Okay, let's go back to answer one more question. How is the endgame after knight a7 takes, and with the idea that if black goes rook a8, we'll exchange the rooks. Yeah, that's a great suggestion, because I wanted to get both rooks off. I did want to get both rooks off, so knight a7, I like that suggestion actually. I don't think black should probably not play rook a8, because it would just give us a tempo. And now it's not so easy for black to chase down. I also don't think black can do something like this and allow us this check. Maybe it's not the end of the world, but I don't think this is something black wants to do. So knight a7, I like it. And maybe I'm changing my opinion on the position, Jackster. Because something like this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the pair of rooks off. And here it's very difficult for black to stop that. And let's see some endgame like this. Still, maybe it's annoying. Now the king is very fast to come in, and the knights, I know knights are tricky, but this knight, the problem is it's very hard to join the game because this bishop is controlling so many squares. And king is going to be very fast. And I think if we lose that pawn, maybe white can still hold on a pawn down, but it will be a very unpleasant task. Rook c7 has been played instead. Okay. So rook c7. Hitting the pawn on e7, and I guess looking for rook c1. It's not 5 minutes now, I think that is wrong. I think the times will hopefully fix themselves. But it's definitely not 5 minutes, because they only started playing an hour 40 ago. So I guess they have roughly even time. Okay, we'll come back here. Where did I jump to? What game had I jumped to? I had jumped to this game. Isaac against Emil. And just go back a few moves. Oh, actually we left it all the way back here. All the way back here, and we were wondering, was black gonna go for castle, which is the most played move, or b5? I don't remember who of you, I don't know if they're still around, who had told us about this b5 possibility, but I had that said that given the current tournament situation, I was thinking Emil currently on 2.5, as we can see, Isaac on 0 out of 3, and I had said that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw b5. I don't know, is it a Banco now or is it still a Benoni? I guess it's still a Benoni, a Banconi, maybe that's what they call it. Benny, moin! Do they call this the Banconi? Not a serious question, but I like the name. I like the name anyway. a6. White did not want to take that other pawn, but black is also just leaving that there. a4. So black has given up a pawn. What happens in general, finally, black is the one to capture first. Usually in the typical Benoni, black uses these rooks and the bishop. That is also all the case here to put pressure, but I don't know. Or is this just a Banco? Fiona's Manconi. Or is it? Who knows? Anyway, black has given up a pawn and is looking for all this counterplay. I feel like it's not a banco, but I couldn't. It's just a banco. Oh, you need e6 for Benoni. Okay. In that case, I stand corrected, and we started out with a Benoni turned banco. And then let's see, are we still... But b5, c takes, a6, knight g3. I'm just trying to find out where did we leave the book. All of this was then the main moves. But here, the main is bishop e2. Just call it a mess. A messoni. So after a4 we left the trodden path. And we'll just move forward to the current position on the board. Knight b5. So sorry, rook a3, knight e5, and knight b5. So the first question for black is what happens if you just take this? The question from white is how do we want to recapture? I've got a feeling we want to capture with the pawn. Bishop has to step back. And this is probably fine for us. Maybe we can even kick out this knight. So I don't think, okay, I don't think black can take this. I think this, although they're double pawns, I think that would be more than fine for white. So instead, after knight b5, what do we do as black here? What do we do? Because I think I'm starting to, after knight e5, black was looking to jump into c4 potentially. Yeah, Benoni means son of misery. Absolutely. It's quite an interesting fact. And I think it's Anton Korobov who talked about this in an interview. Someone very famously mentioned it in an interview. I think it was Anton. I like this move, knight b5. Making sure the knight cannot jump into c4. Also, I think stopping. And Jackster, he thinks white has a good banco because the light square bishops are not traded. And after knight b5, which has just been played, this bishop looks silly on a6. Yeah, I would tend to agree. It was Grishuk, that's the one. Thank you, Carl. That's correct. It was Grishuk. Yeah, I like this. I like this for Isaac. I really hope Isaac gets off the mark. I don't want to see anyone suffering in the tournament. We're having such a great time here. It's so nice to be able to play over the board chess. We don't want to see anyone suffer. So go Isaac, and I like his position. I like his position. Maybe even c4 here. Okay. c4. So now this knight is threatened again. And what will you do after f4? Or another suggestion by Jackster, knight d4. Knight d4 also looks annoying, actually. I don't know. What about my f4? f4, knight d3. And if I take? And then what, something like rook b8 or what? So it's currently 2 pawns, but black is going to get back one more pawn, and maybe this is fine. And what about the other suggestion? c4 after queen takes. Queen b6. Oh, and it's an immediate problem. It's an immediate problem here. So actually after the check, we have to play something like, but this maybe. And what is this? I have no idea. I guess if black wins the pawn back, should just be a draw, but only black can win, I guess, with the bishop pair. The question is there any way white can hold on to this extra pawn? The answer is probably not. This knight is so far away. The bishop pair is so strong. This rook is attacked. Where does it even go? No, I don't believe in this for white, yeah. Okay, an interesting game. We'll come back here. We'll see what black does. But c4 is an interesting suggestion. Interesting suggestion. Okay, let's see. What have we not seen? Let's see what has Jung Min's opponent played after knight f6, king g7. King g7. And I was saying, why not? Let's go, Harry. Let's go. Or potentially we take first. But I was thinking, I don't think black can take twice. Not as long as this pawn is hanging, at least. So I'd like to do something more immediate. Now why not? Why not Harry 4? Okay, well, let's see. What do the pros in the chat think? What do we make of this? For all you attacking players out there. h4, bishop c6 is coming. So black, first of all, is defending this pawn now. So do you just want to take my knight and take my pawn? That is not very nice. And what about after h4, bishop takes f6? Here I thought that I would be fine. I'm not even sure. Maybe black has e5 and the king will just run back. Maybe this is fine. Maybe this is fine for black. Because the queen also has no good squares. Queen f4. Queen f4 where? Instead of h4? No. Here, queen f4. Queen f4. I don't know if we're meant in this position. Queen f4 with the idea knight g4 and targeting h6. Okay. So queen f4 with the idea knight g4. I guess black cannot really play now. h5. h5 can we even take? I don't know, but h5 looks like it shouldn't be good. Queen f4 is a computer move. I appreciate your honesty, Lone Wolf, but I mean, I don't mind a few computer moves here and there. I did consider, should I use the engine? Because when I'm by myself, obviously, it gets tougher to see good moves. But then I thought it wouldn't be fun to use the engine myself. But Queen F4, even if it's an engine suggestion, once you look at it, it does make sense to free up that square for the knight, especially because it's not easy to defend. Well, it's impossible to defend h6, and if black has to play either h5 or g5, a lot of weaknesses will be created. But Young-min's time is starting to tick down a little bit. We will come back here, see if he finds Queen f4 or what else he comes up with. In the meantime, let's go back here. Mihail Marin against Ludwig Carlson. Although I have to say that is the game where I just wasn't too excited for now. But has black made some progress here? The queens came off the board. So after, so we left it here after bishop h3. White played knight f1. Those bishops were exchanged and queen c4. I think white is a little bit crammed actually. Queens came off as well. And now, okay, this beautiful bishop has disappeared, but still. I suspect a takes. By the way, the clocks are not correct here either. I like this. I still like this for black. Still like this for black. Okay, let's go back, I think, to, let me see if anything has happened. Maybe quick look here. Rook c7. Tiger took and played knight a2. And he is probably looking for knight c3, also looking for the rook to come in. I think my feeling is that it should be a draw, but that it's not so easy to play for white. So we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. Let's go back to the IM1 group. We can also bring back the standings of the IM1. Let's see. Can we bring back the IM1? We'll bring back the IM1 standings and see what has happened there. It looks like there's been one result already. So let's go and have a look at the game between Maria Eugenia and Hilmir Heimison. So I was wondering where when we last left it, somewhere around here. I was wondering where was black on a castle. The answer is black never castled at all. Instead he took on f4, bishop takes, takes, g5. Wow. Okay, so g5 means that black, if he had castled, would go queenside. White did not take that, so g4, h5. No, I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe this game has ended like this. I just don't believe it. Okay, let's refresh and see if that changes anything. Is that game like that across all websites? Yeah, I mean, to play rook a8 here would make no sense. To play king g1 would also make no sense. Okay, this is definitely not... No, this really makes no sense. I'll find out. You know what we'll do? Just stay here. Axel, I'm gonna run away 1 second. We can stay just live. I'll quickly run into the playing hall. I'll be back in 1 minute. Let you know if this game is over. Okay, I'm back. That is actually how the game ended. I am so shocked. I am so shocked. This is how the game actually ended. Rook b8, king g1, rook a8. Wow. That must be one of the weirdest draws I have ever seen in my life. I think it's clear Hilmir probably did not like his position. He was also, these clock times are more or less correct. He was very much lower on time. That's not a sentence, but king g1 is such a provocative move that king has just stepped away. Why? If he played rook b8, I mean, clearly his idea, but maybe king g1. I mean, I don't understand. Because why would white play king g1 if Hilmir plays any other move? He's just gained 2 tempi. Maria was winning. Does the engine say it was so strong? Eh? Interesting. Is this allowed? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. This is allowed. I think if Hilmir felt that he's much worse in the position, I think when he saw king g1, he understood she will probably be happy to repeat. So rook a1, rook a8 in that sense, I sort of understand, because if she plays any other move than king h1, we're back to 0. At least it's worth a gamble. King g1 surprises me more because, yeah, I don't know. I'm confused. But it's all allowed and it is what happened, and I'll move on now. I'd be super curious. If I see either Maria or Hilmir, I'll get to the bottom of this and tell you guys tomorrow. Someone was saying... there was a very... Oh, this game looks very interesting indeed. Where did we leave this one off again? I can never for the life of me remember where we leave games off. So I'll just jump in somewhere. Ah, now I remember. I was talking about this pawn. Oh, now I remember. This was this a5, queen c7. And I had talked about bishop here, but then we had determined that didn't make much sense. And then we had talked about bishop d3. Yeah, super confusing draw. Probably the most confusing draw I've ever seen in my life. Rook a4 was played, which makes a lot of sense as well. Immediately putting pressure on this pawn on b4, queen b7, both defending the pawn and attacking on d5. So bishop c4, the only move to defend the pawn. Knight d7, queen d2, rook b8, castles, and rook d1. So both sides have overprotected their weaknesses. Well, not weaknesses, but their weak pawns, let's say. Now queen d3, knight c7. Black brings another piece to put pressure here. Potentially the knight might jump around here. Now bishop d2, putting more pressure on b4, queen a7 check, king h1. That pawn was doomed. That pawn was doomed. So black decides the best he can do is create some counterplay on the king side, and off he goes. f5, e4. And black is going to be looking to put maybe pressure here. I think white is doing really great. It was +5 for Maria. What did I miss there? What did we miss? I mean, we didn't have a close look at the game. I'm still confused. I think we'll focus on the games that are ongoing, but I'll get to the bottom. I'll get to the bottom of it. Queen takes and f takes e4. Is this not just good for white? Unless there's some bishop f6 stuff. Is there something with bishop f6? I don't know. For now, white is up a pawn. What if, I think if black just does something like take, I think white will be perfectly fine. Ah, no, maybe that's the idea. Knight f6. And then this is hanging. So that's not the idea. That is not the idea. So what else could be the idea? Because now white will also have some knight jumps. I think this will be fine for white. So I don't think black wants to take here. But if not, then what? Okay, maybe bishop f6. And now where does the queen go? I don't really want to go to d3 because I don't want to allow knight here. So let's say instead I go here, maybe. What if black just takes now? What if black just takes that pawn? Maybe this is not so clear. These knights, they can jump to a lot of squares somehow. I don't know, is that bishop gonna be in trouble? But here we can play this and suddenly everything is loose. It's a messy, messy, messy position. I don't even know who is... I guess white is better, but I think black has counterplay. That would be my assessment. When I ran into the playing hall, one thing I didn't have a look at. No, I think this is actually their game. This is... let me check again. Söderström is playing against Lorty Panice. And I think this is their position. And what is this absolute mess? Let me go back a little bit. So here we are the typical King's Indian. We talked about the King's Indian earlier. When I think King's Indian, this is more or less exactly what I think. With the pawns just storming down the board. So black giving up a pawn here on h5 to recapture on e4, and this is where the complication starts. So okay, right now at this moment white is up a pawn, but this rook was attacked, so the rook gives itself up here and we take here. So white has taken 2 pieces for the rook and was a pawn up to start with, so currently +2 points. But there is the little issue of this king potentially being in some trouble. Bishop b6 and f3. So everything is being opened up here. We have a real mess. Black giving up one more pawn. So it's currently... what is white up? White is up 2 pawns. Plus he has the 2 pieces for the rook. If black cannot drum up something really fast here, it's just game over. Why did we have to play d3? Sorry, in this position. This was a threat. Why b3? Why? What if we play a move like, for example, knight f2? Ah, rook c1. Rook c1 was a threat, okay. Well, no, sorry, it wasn't a threat, but this bishop, as long as this knight is here, it's not a threat. But maybe then we cannot, can we not stop this? What about a move like queen e2? All very confusing. Jack's still saying the knight cannot remain on d3. So how do you chase it after queen e2? Maybe just here anyway, and rook e8. Or what? But then if I go back here? These are the kind of positions that are really tough without an engine and without a power brain. But b3 was played on e4, so giving back a full piece. Oh no, no, I'm e4, knight c4. Why now did we not take? Let me just refresh to make sure that this is all correct. I think it's all correct, and I'm just struggling to wrap my head around what's going on. Knight c4, knight takes on b6, but why can't we recapture? Check, okay. And now finally the dust is going to settle. Black is going to take here or here. And white will be 2 pawns up. And the question is, I think, well, actually black cannot take this bishop because the rook is hanging. I think white is just winning, no? No, sorry, will not be. It's an exchange down, so... Oh, from a points perspective, this will be even. This knight has to remain here to always cover this. I still like white though. I still like white. This king. I don't like the state of this king whatsoever. Adrian, as someone pointed out, only has 5 minutes on the clock. But, this king is in a lot of trouble. So let me go back. Did I get an answer to my question about queen e2? Queen e2, e4, bishop takes, rook e8, knight f2, queen c1. Yeah, and then I thought, can I not just give back the piece now? I don't know, let's say here, maybe f1. But what is this mess? And this would not be good. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Questions answered. Thank you so much, Jackster. Thank you very much. Queen has taken on b6. So, as I said, from a points perspective, it's equal now. Black is an exchange up, white has 2 pawns. But this pawn, this king is in a lot of trouble, I would say. Let's see. Bishop check. I don't think the king can step out here. Bishop check was not played. Instead, knight f4. Knight f4, wow. And I guess the idea is that there must be... what? Check. King h8. No, this can't be it. Oh no, then there's another check here actually. Where is the mate? Surely there's a mate. Wait, is that just made in two? Sorry, my bad, I was hallucinating. I was hallucinating. I thought the king would already be here. Okay, knight f2 looks super strong in that case. Just bringing one more piece into the attack. This move is not going anywhere. Is this just killing? Is this just killing? If Adrian wins this game, it would be quite the game. That would be quite the game. How is Adrian doing in the tournament? Oh, he's only on half out of 3, so this could be... That was a really bad move according to the engine. But how can the king win with some... King g7? I don't know, I just assumed this would be mate. Oh, king g7, where? Surely this must be mate somewhere. But maybe that's not what Jack meant. Or can the king just run? I don't know what I'm even doing here. Let me just take that bishop. I don't think this was forced. The engine changed her mind. Suddenly when she's wrong, she's female. That's what you're saying, Lone Wolf. No, I don't know. So the engine changed its mind. So what Jackson meant was king after king. Here, yeah. But it's not. No, it's the same line basically. Yeah, we'll end up in the same position. But I can go here, no? I know, but then you run. My brain hurts. Even because I'm constantly changing minds. Okay, I think we'll have to stay clear of this topic. I think, okay, in the worst case, surely I can take this bishop. And I think, I know, but now it's a back rank mate. Somehow earlier in the position, earlier I had already played h4. Here I don't have h4 now. Then I can take that bishop, of course. Draw. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to draw, but what do I do? I'm lost. I'm lost. I don't know how to hunt down the king. I don't know how to hunt down the king. After king, queen f5, king e7. Ah, queen c8. The rook is hanging. Very good point. And that is over. Now there is no back rank mate. And now it's 2 extra pawns. But especially the king is still stuck. And that g pawn is running. Very nice. I think Adrian is winning. I think he's just winning. His opponent, I think, is going to go into the tank here, but this looks... I feel this king is dead. This king is basically dead. Okay, let me... The problem is these games, I don't know who is... I think this is not a game. That's mine. That's what I think. And that makes sense, because we have the 6 others now, except one of them is not working, right? Or are they all working? I still have, okay, what I'll do during the next break, we'll have a quick look, and actually if we can change to the IM2 standings, we'll have a quick look at the IM2 group, and then a quick look at the GMs, and after that, I'll go into the playing hall, see what's still going in the IM1, and who is who. Who is who? Okay, so let's start. Oh, we've had a result here. Joachim has won his game. Fantastic news for the local fans. He's having a great tournament so far. He's now on what, I think on 2.5. So great start to the tournament for him. So 4 games are still going. Dagwar against Thomas Ernst. I didn't like Dagwar's position, I think, when we last checked in here. I was a bit worried about his king, but his king has found its way to the queen side. And what do we make of this? I'm still not sure that this is where the king would like to be. This pin is also incredibly annoying. The knight in some cases might come into here. On the other hand, we have the e-file. I don't know, can we try and double rook e5 even stronger than rook e3? So rook e5 I like. And the idea, I guess, would be to double here. There is some play here for both sides. Not sure who is better and why. b5 could be weak in the long term. I think black is better. My feeling tells me black is better, but we'll see. We shall see. Okay, let's jump on. The other is... Oh, what is going on here? Vignir Stefansson against Kim Nygren. Let me just go back a few moves. First, we count the material, which is even. H4. I like how black completed it. Sam, close your eyes now. I've been banging on and on to Sam about king safety, but black just showed absolutely disregarded his king safety. H takes. So h takes g3, giving up a piece here on e5. And what is this now? So I guess there is two options for, well, a few options actually for black. One is to take here, and the other is to take on e5, either with the bishop. In general, I feel I don't want to do this because I don't want to give white the opportunity to use my own pawn as a shield. Troost played who's? Let me remember. Who are we talking about now? Edwin, where is Troost? Which? Now I'm being confused again. Edwin Troost, is this his game? Because I'm still not sure which one his game is. This is what I have to check out during the break. I will check it out. So yeah, this piece sacrifice, what's going on with that? What do we do here? I feel we probably have to take on e5. But then do we have to be worried about? Knight takes e5 seems logical to prevent some knight f3. That does make sense. Also, the knight might be looking to jump into g4 from where it would hit some big squares. So knight takes e5, and now, I mean, white, that king is looking rather lonely. All these pieces are quite far removed. And if we go h3, for example, but we can't go here because then white can exchange the queens, and I think if white can exchange queens, he'll be fine. So h3. What an absolute mess. What do we do here as black? What do we do here? How do we continue? It's quite annoying actually, this queen on c2, which is stopping us from playing f4. Rook takes h3. Wow, Jackster. And queen h6. So the bishop cannot move because queen h2 would be mate. The bishop cannot be defended. Well, it can actually be defended by king h2. King h2, what I'm trying to say, I think king g2 is the only move. And then Jackster's idea is knight g4. Threatening a big fork here. Or f4 now, says Maripant. f4 now also looks really nice, actually. Rook h1 here. Maybe rook h1 just holds on. What about this knight g4? I was thinking, do we defend somehow? Let's say rook f3. Rook f3, and now what? Now f4. Oh my goodness. How much material has black given up? A lot. Oh my goodness, black is down a rook and a piece. And a piece, yeah? A rook and a piece, but he has 3 pawns, so basically 5 points. It is insane, but it might just work. Okay, remind me that we keep an eye on this one. We will come back here. I'm super curious how this one continues. This one, Borsuk against Leo Krevatin. We might come back here in a bit. There's still early doors, still a lot of pieces on the board. William Olsen, I think I really liked William's position, or that I really like Alexander's position now, I'm not sure. No, William was up a pawn, and I thought if he can hold on, and I think white is doing fine here with the extra pawn. I don't think there's any immediate problems. What is Jung Min doing? There's a question in the chat, so let me for 1 second just see what happened in this Adrian game. Knight f4, queen a5, check, king f8, g7, bishop takes. What is this? Did we have to give up that pawn? Maybe because the knight was attacked. Okay, we'll come back here. Let's bring back up, Axel, if we can, the standings of the GM event. So we'll have a look at the GM event, and then I'll take the last break of the day. So we are 2.5 hours into the round. And knight... Wait, this is not Jung Min, sorry. So Jung Min... oh! Draw was agreed here. Draw was agreed after bishop d7, queen g4, g6, sorry, knight f6. Oh, I didn't even see that. I didn't even see we were talking about queen f4, but that's why Jung Min took so much time. He was deciding if they, he was deciding if he wanted to play or if he wanted to take that draw, and came to the conclusion he was gonna make that draw, so that game is actually over. Now I don't see the result anymore, but it was there a second ago. So I think this game is over. An exciting position. We'll never know what could have happened if he played queen f4, but I think not a bad result and a fighting game. Let's go back to Tiger. Let's go back to Tiger. So Rook C7. He played Rook takes, Knight takes, and Knight A2. We left it here. The Knight dropped back to D5 and was attacked and jumped to C3. So now the question is about this pawn. So the knights were exchanged. Bishop C3 will happen. I imagine maybe Rook A2. And my guess is white will hold on to the draw here. But it will be a long game, but my guess is white will hold on. Let's move on to Isaac. So Isaac, what was this? This was this Banconi. Where did we leave it off, the Banconi? After knight b5, queen b8 was played. We had talked about, what had we talked about? c4. That c4 might be an opportunity, a move. Instead we had some exchanges. Now queen c2, rook b8. White for now. Oh, tactics. Was this missed by Isaac? Bishop d2, rook takes b2. The point is after queen takes, knight f3 check, and bishop takes. It's not over just yet. White has a rook and a knight for the queen, but I think it will be better. Could this have been missed? Because if black can get the pawn back this way, if the queen has to move somewhere, I think it will just, black will be doing very well, because the a pawn will still be a weakness long term. This bishop will be a monster. And I see Jackster thinks this might just have been a blunder. And it will be a very welcome blunder as well for Emil Mirzoev, who apparently is down to just 1 minute on the clock. Rook b2, always remember at home, always watch out for these bishops. Such tricky pieces when they align, and then the knights. These positions are just so dangerous. Maybe the position was anyway tough already for white. My feeling is that probably black might have been better, but yeah, clearly bishop d2 was a blunder. And the position is equal apparently still. I still think bishop d, or was it equal before bishop d2? Probably it was equal before bishop d2. But if the engine says equal and you are, yeah, no, this is not equal. I think what Lone Wolf is saying that it was equal before the bishop d2 blunder. But if the engine says that the position is roughly even here, and you're pawn down, usually that's a good sign. Yeah, so this one now looking very difficult for Isaac. Let's move on. Let's quickly check it in with Mikhail, Marin. What do we have? Even material, the bishop versus the knight, but it's white to play. It is white to play, so what happens if we just take? Will this lead to a draw and rook ending, or can white have push a little bit here? I guess, oh, can we take? Ah, no, sorry, my rook is attacked. That rook is attacked now, so then what if we take here instead? What if we take here on c7 instead? Surely Marin is pressing, because now this is attacked, this is attacked. I don't know if it will be enough, but it looks promising. Anyway, Milton Panzer against Platon. Surely they have more time on the clock than this. When did we start? 2.5 hours. Yeah, so they have to have more time on the clock than this. And this was the game where Milton was down a pawn, but with probably some counterplay, I imagine, against the pawn on b7. So rook b8, and we see all the pieces were ganging up, and Milton managed to get that pawn back, but at the cost of a queen. At the cost of a queen, and that's not good news, so we didn't get that pawn back at all. Maybe this position was just very difficult for white. Surely he saw this move knight c5. The same fork was already threatened earlier. Oof, but now the time situation updated, and Milton is down to just 30 seconds against 40 minutes on the clock for his opponent. And this is the same material situation in the game that we just came from, a rook and the bishop for the queen, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think this is enough. If we take on d5, a3 will be hanging, and I think that Platon Galperin is heading towards 4 out of 4. I think this is looking very, very good for black. So, okay, we will come back. I think we saw all the games. No, we didn't see. Did we see? We saw Khan against Tiger. And we saw Isaac. And we saw... No, so we saw everything. So it is getting quite late. We will take a very quick final break for the day. And then we'll be back with the final moments of round 4 here at the Uppsala Chess Festival. So I'll see you very soon. And we are back for the final stages of round 4 here at the Uppsala Chess Festival. I am going to start actually with this game, Adrian Söderström against Lord Kipanidze. That's the one that mostly caught my eye in the playing hall because most things have happened. A lot has happened since we left it. So after knight f4, the Georgian played queen a5. And all of this was rattled down quite quickly. We had left it here after g7, bishop takes, and now Adrian just played h3, creating some air for his king. And bishop e5 was played, and that knight was swapped for the bishop. So now it was an exchange still. Material balance has remained the same with two pawns for the exchange. But most of all, that king's still in a world of pain, and it turns out that king could not get out of there because after king b6, queen check, the rook fell. So there was no way for black to save the rook, and so many moves have been played here. The bishop came off. I'm just gonna blitz through them quite quickly. I think this ending should be, well, is definitely winning for white with the two extra pawns. The only thing is, can black do anything, any fight, because white's clock is ticking down a little bit. But I think Adrian, so far from what I can see, has handled this great. The queen here is doing a great job of protecting the king, even indirectly, because it covers some squares, some check squares, also covers the fifth rank. So queen g6. And now a few checks. I think sometimes you have to be very careful when you give those checks to make sure you don't repeat 3 times by accident. That would be very sad. And now the queen went here. And let's see, is that king going to escape the checks? King here, king g6, queen g8. And this is the position on the board. Queen g5. So, okay, the most logical check, I guess, would be this one, queen h1. And if we go back, these queen endgames are always tricky, but it feels to me like we should be able to escape the checks. Maybe I shouldn't analyze. Maybe we should just wait and see what happens. We'll come back here, but my feeling is Adrian must be winning, but they are tricky to play with little time. Let's very quickly see. So I've also figured out what's going on with the boards in this IM1 group. This we always knew was Kenneskog. He was up a pawn. He still is up a pawn. The question is, will he be able to hold on to d5? It is white to move. Also, I mean, these bishops look very good. The queen is looking down here. I think this looks great for white, actually. At first sight, I think this looks great for white. One question is, can we just play c4 and hold on to the pawn like this? I think white is doing great. That's my assessment of the position. Let's see, Jan Johansson against Martin Jokstad. The Irish Pawn Center, almost every single day we've seen the Irish Pawn Center. In this case, though, what happens after bishop takes? The only move is knight f3, I think. And what is this? We'll come back to this later. This game is going to be here for a while still. I don't think this endgame will be over anytime soon. And then this is not a game, but this is a game between Edwin Trost and Axel Falkevall. And what was going on here? This is messy as well. This is super messy. At first sight, I would love to just give up that exchange. Probably doesn't work. Also, I just realized, so what had happened on the previous move? Why could we not take here? Was there a problem with a check here? and this probably. So that's why that rook got out of harm's way, also covered the check. And now I'm sure Edwin is calculating this. We will come back here as well. There was Jax who would like to see the Vigneer game. We will go back there immediately. Actually, we have seen all the games, so can we quickly bring up the IM2? And we are going to Vigneer's game. Vigneer's game is over. It is over. So what happened here? Queen h6? Wait. Was it in this position? We were looking at knight takes, no? Looks like queen h6, h3, queen check, king h1. What did black miss here? I mean, okay, black is currently down what? Not so much. Black is not down. Black has what? Black has 2 pawns for the piece. But f4 and bishop takes c6 ended the game on the spot. That king. We talked about king safety. King has nowhere to go. And this would be checkmate. With this bishop on a3, cutting off the king. That was a brutal end to the game. But Sam, if you're still here, we talk about king safety, and we talk about king safety for a reason. That king never made it away from e8 and was duly punished. So a nice final shot here by Vigneer, bishop c3, bishop c6, and it's basically mate in 3. Very, very nice. I see Christian is in the chat. Sam, you're here, then you see. Nobody is safe from that king getting into some serious trouble. Christian, the Icelander, I'm sure he wants to know how is Dagor getting on. In Dagor's game, a lot of pieces have come off the board, and Dagor seems to... Well, he's a pawn up right now, but if we take with the queen, d4 falls, and if we take with the king, a3 falls. My feeling is that we'd rather give up... Yeah, I was just going to say that we'd rather give up this pawn. I feel giving up a3 would be a little bit too much. And yeah, so this is all on the board. My guess is Dagor is a bit worse. This queen in the center of the board is doing great, but we'll see. I don't think he's lost. I think black is better. We'll come back here. What else is going on? Konstantin Borsuk against Leo Krevatin. A mess. What is this? A mess. We'll come back here. We haven't been paying too much attention to this game, so I want to get back to the GM group. And finally, before we leave, William Olson against Alexander Hacht. This was the extra queen for white. And all of these positions where we see the opponent have a rook and a piece, I think in most of the cases it's not going to be enough. So white should be almost winning here. What a move by Edwin Trost. Let's quickly go back there. What just happened? Where did we leave this? Did we not? We didn't look at it. Oh, did we? I know we did look at this. Rook f6. Knight g5. Wow. Knight g5. Giving up a full piece. Rook takes. Threatening. What is the threat? Let's see if it's white to move. Check. Does this work? Check. No, there must be a better way to do this. So what is the threat if it's white to move? If it's white to move, how do we end this? King here? Maybe just a simple rook g1 should be enough, actually. Or is it? They will always have this fork. Help me out. Help me out. How is this winning for white? So white has given up, what, a piece, a full piece. First we have to find out what is the threat, and then we can figure out how do we parry it. What is the threat? Where is the mate? Surely there's a mate somewhere. Ah, but actually my threat is the mate now. Okay. And if rook g7, rook g7, surely there has to be a knockout here. Surely there has to be a kill. Keep desperately looking at the check. You take the knight on g6. After... Oh, you take the knight. Yes, of course. Now, where's that damn mate? Oh my god, what am I missing here? What am I missing here? Check with the rook. King e6. Where is the mate? Surely there is a mate here. Surely there is a mate. Where is that damned mate? I don't see the mate. Let me know. I'm sure it's there, but I don't see it. I need to solve more tactics. Need to solve more tactics. It's not a mate. But where is the kill? We need a mate or a kill, because currently we've got a full rook down. Rook h8 instead of queen h8. Ah, and just take the queen. Yeah, that will do. That will do. It looked like queen h8 was strong, but yeah, what a move by Edwin Trost. We'll come back to this one. Let's go back to the GM group, bring back the GM standings, as you can see in the Mihail Marin game. A lot has happened here. Mihail now has an endgame, a rook ending, a pawn up. I was wondering, is this rook ending? I wasn't sure which rook ending it was going to be. It looked like it was going to be a rook ending, a pawn down for black, which is what happened. Can black hold on here? I'm not going to analyze this for long. The players still have a lot of time. Maybe with perfect play black, although no, this pawn is probably just too weak. No, it's probably winning for white. This is my prediction, probably winning for white. Let's go back to Isaac. Isaac unfortunately blundered with bishop d2 before we went on break. He is fighting, but I guess this a pawn is going to drop, and he will be a pawn down at some point. I think unfortunately this position must be lost. And let's see now, Milton is what? This is the position where he's down. His opponent has a queen. Oh, and now we just come in at this moment. Knight g4 takes, and queen takes. And I think that's game over. Rook f4, the only move to defend the pawn on f2. Ah, but maybe this isn't game over just yet. Maybe this isn't over. Actually, maybe it's far from over. What is going on now? Okay, maybe black can play a move like f6 in the worst case. No, my feeling is this position is probably lost for Milton. Probably lost for Milton after a move like, yeah, f6 has just been played. And I think black will try to run that a-pawn. Black will try to run that a-pawn. Okay, and finally, what have we not seen? We have not seen Khan against Tiger. And still we have this 4 versus 4 with white having... This more or less went as expected. I think we had seen it until here, rook a2. So this all went as predicted. And some pawns were exchanged on the king side. My feeling is that Khan will hold this game. I don't know, maybe is white even better, potentially. But yeah, when the pawns start rolling, I don't think white can be better. I don't think white can be better, but I think white will draw the game. My expert assessment of this game. And here well, here I have to change my mind, I guess. I think Ludwig is just... Why could we not play this move? Ah, because there's always the check, of course. Of course, there's always the check. So in that case, I think this is just... I think that's just a draw. This 2 versus 1. Although, who knows? There will be some... Who knows if this is a draw, but at the very least it's going to be it's going to be tough to defend. Truth! Good morning, Chicago! You are our in-house endgame expert, surely. Is this endgame a draw? We shall find out. Sledgehammer. Hello, Sledgehammer. Let's show Truth something he will enjoy more than this. This one, I think this one is just... Although, what's happening now? Can Milton take on f6? Or even play bishop g8? Is this so clear any longer? Is this so clear? What does black do here? Maybe there is no threat. Maybe when the king gets to g5 it's safe. Oh, yeah. Okay, and what if we take this pawn? I'm a little bit concerned that all my pieces are kind of undefended. But I don't see anything immediately wrong with it. But maybe this pawn just runs, actually. Maybe the pawn just runs. Ah, and there's one big problem. This queen is covering. No, actually, this... I'm sure Marin probably knows, but even if he knows it, the problem is if he knows that it's a draw, it's not gonna... That knowledge isn't gonna help him. Yeah, so this one, king h6 has been... So king h6 is on the board. And g5 by Milton. I think Milton is trying to create something, but that extra pawn and the extra queen is just going to decide the game here, I think. Isaac. Yeah, I think it's unfortunately looking bad for both Isaac and Milton and the Ukrainians, as you can see in the standings below me. I think they're continuing their run. Platon on his way to 4 out of 4, Emil potentially to 3.5 out of 4. Let's go back. Let me quickly see. Should we go here? We've had a result. Whoa! Oh, this is... Let's bring back the IM1 standings. This is a heartbreaker. This is a heartbreaker for Adrian Söderström, who played such a nice game. Such a nice game, but I think, thank you so much, Axel. He did not escape the checks in the end. Queens are tricky pieces. I'm 100% sure that at the start of this endgame, And of course here with the two extra pawns, this has to be winning, and this is winning. This is winning for white, but it's not easy. With a few minutes on the clock, it's not easy. Adrian will be very disappointed, I'm sure. His opponent got away with one, but such is chess. And in the end, even in the end, I'm so curious, could that king, was there nowhere to hide? At least not that he found. But yeah, I agree with Priyanshu. Black defended super resourcefully. This game is over. So knight g5 was just a knockout. Oops, sorry. Knight g5 was a knockout blow. Knight g5 takes knight e7 and rook g1, and black just resigned. What a game by Edwin Trost. What a game. That was an absolute stunner. Stunner of the game, with this king having nowhere. This game, true if you like. I'm not surprised. This was a beautiful, beautiful game. With threats. The main threat here being rook h5, and I think there's no escape. There's no escape for black. So what a game by Edwin. And only 2 games remain in this I Am One group. One time Jan Johansson against Martin Jokstad. All the endgames, I'm trying to get them all out of the way. Leave them for last. See if there is more excitement elsewhere. But black is up a pawn here. And black is absolutely in the driver's seat. b3 is hanging as well. White will be looking to create some counterplay against this black king. Either with rook h1, rook check. It's not so clear actually. Now that I see how vulnerable this king is, there's still chances for both sides. We will see. We will come back to this one. Quick look at Kenniskog against Zahidi. So Theodore was a pawn up, and he still is. He's managed to hold on to his extra pawn throughout the game. And now, how much play does black still? The question is, can black ever get back a pawn? Right now, what do we do about this pawn that's attacked on d5? What happens if we go bishop c4? Is there something wrong with bishop c4? Maybe Theodore is looking for something against the black king. That could be. I don't know. How do we do that though? If we could play queen here and get the bishop to g6, but that knight, of course, is covering. e6, Lone Wolf, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so we will come back here. But the 2 games which remain in this group, interesting stuff. Quick look at the IM2. I think we're not even gonna change the standings. We will go back to the GM group in just a second. We've had some more results. William Olsen, that game is over. He has wrapped it up, beating Alexander Hacht. Joachim, we saw this earlier, beating Limbach. We saw Vignir win his game, so only 2 games remain. Dagor against Thomas Ernst. This is gonna go on for a long time, I feel. Unless they find some kind of... Unless black wants to draw and gives a perpetual. But if black wants to win, I think it will go on for a while. And finally, Konstantin Borsuk against Leo Krevatin. Is this the position? Why do they still have so many pieces on the board? What a mess. What a messy mess. This knight would love to jump into f4 at some point. I think we like black with the bishop pair is my feeling. This bishop on b7 is beautifully aligned against the king. This bishop on a7 does a great job defending this pawn. My feeling is black must be doing very well here. This rook is not playing at all. We're controlling the d file, hitting this bishop. I think black is doing very, very well here. which would be a huge... Actually, this is one to keep an eye on, because Leo, I just realized, huge rating underdog. Let's see if he can pull a big upset here today. But for now, let's go back to the GM group, get back the GM standings as well, and we'll start. We can start here with Isaac. So Isaac, unfortunately, that B pawn we saw it be lost. He is still fighting. He's just played f4. Material for now is even. I was worried that this pawn on a4 was going to drop, but this knight is attacked for now. Where does the knight go? Knight d3. Looks like the natural move that black wants to play to jump into the white position. Knight e3, and then what? How can we create something here as white? The problem is our position knight d3 has just been played. White's position is so crammed, unfortunately. How do we fight here as white? How do we fight? I would love to get in an e5 break, but I don't see how. Ramschacht! You bring them all back. You bring the people back to life. We need to... I think there's quite a few people watching, but everyone is listening in awe. Oh, my great explanations. Yeah, this is exactly... I think what Truth is saying... What Truth is saying is exactly the problem with this position. It's hard to even find a move. Hard to even find a move for white. Queen g4. Okay, going forward, I like it. Desperate times. Call for desperate measures. Now, what if black goes something like queen d2 and gets checkmated in one move? That's not what you want to do if you're black. Don't play like me. Oh my goodness. Okay, so at least we have a big threat. At least we have a big threat. So probably what black should do, I think a reasonable move would be rook a8 and cover for that threat. Queen c5 check was played, which will force king h1. Oh, there's so many. Of course, it doesn't work because white can take. Ah, but we take with the rook. And now c8 is covered. And this is attacked. I think this is what will happen, and we might see resignation here. Queen c5 was a nice move. Nice move by black, and I think that will be the end. I think that will be the end after knight f2. Let's see, he only has 4 minutes on the clock. But I think that's what will happen. It's completely forced as well, since it is a fork on the king and the queen. What's the time control for the games? The time control is 90 minutes plus a 30-second increment for the whole game, and no time control on move 40. So just 90 minutes plus 30 seconds. Question in the chat: what does Uppsala mean? It's the name of the city. I don't know if it means anything. We have Axel here, our super producer. He doesn't know. Let me quickly Google. Uppsala meaning. It means upper halls. No, that's from the old Norse Uppsali, which means upper dwellings. Something like that. But I don't think it means anything. I think it's taken from a word that means upper dwellings. I like the word. For those of you who watch my streams in general, you know that I like to use the word oopsie when I play Bullet. So obviously I would be a fan of Uppsala. Means nothing. Yeah, means above Sala. That could also be true. That makes sense as well. Sala da 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 da. Oh, money. Okay. He went for K8. So it means background rate. Yeah, kind of. PH7, good evening. I've submitted the thing for your membership. Powderhound, thank you so much for the feedback on the tactics. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed it. Why did he not play knight f2? Did I miss something in my very thorough analysis? The thing is, maybe white can't really do much about the threats anyway. Why was knight f2 not good? Okay, it's probably still lost. Meanwhile, unfortunately, we had a resignation in the Milton game. And that was looking difficult. Which is a tough result with the white pieces for Milton, one of our norm hunters, who had a great start to the tournament with 2 out of 3. But today, a bit of a setback. I need to update later on also the other events. For now, I've only done the GM group. I have my lovely little handwritten cross table. So Jung-min was a draw against Kazakowski. And it's another win for Platon. Where is Platon? Here he is. Platon Galperin on a perfect 4 out of 4. Powderhound, thank you so very much for the subscription. Usually there's all kind of fireworks, but because I'm in Sweden doing the commentary here, no fireworks today, but fireworks are internally going on. I very much appreciate the support and the feedback on the course. Sam, yeah, I think you should do the tactics course. Some examples are a bit tricky, but there's some simpler ones as well. Are we gonna get a guest? Hey!
You want some chocolate?
Sure!
Chocolate and candy for
Chocolate,
candy for the TV.
Candy I don't like, but the
Yeah, but
chocolate
det
I
kanske Axel
will
har
very
godis.
happily.
Så.
Carl Frederick, he's taking good care of us. Marabu. It's Swedish, yeah? Can I'll try it. Do you want to join?
I can join you for a
Sure.
short while. I just felt for you that you've done a great job today.
Thank you very much.
Alone, but tomorrow you're not alone anymore.
Tomorrow, Harry. And
Harry.
now you. We're getting to the... I feel we're getting already to the end. Have I been to the huge cathedral yet? Not yet, but I'm planning.
You should go there.
I know, yes. But also I have a full extra day after the event. So even if I don't manage until then...
Yeah.
So...
I can open for you.
I managed. It took a while, but
yeah.
All good things come to those who wait.
Are there any spectacular stuff today?
Yeah, there was a lot of... Oh, this is my mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that's still going... This one is the easiest. We will test your endgames. Is this a draw or is this winning?
There's probably an answer to that. That is so, but I mean, I would not like to play black.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many things to try.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it looks easy, but it's it's probably a draw, of course. But I mean,
see some kind of
something like that. E6 in some way, and at some exact point where the black king is at just exactly that square, you want to change the last pawn, and you just and here, if I should bet on something, I would bet for a win. Because it's also Marin, and he has played rook end games since I mean for 40 years. It's a hard game, but I mean still, Ludwig has made quite a good defense, I think, because it was
Unfortunately, it's quite bad news for the
Yeah, I
Swedes
saw that
in the.
Milton was struggling and Isak was losing, I
Yeah, I
think,
think it's
or maybe
lost.
not, but I mean
No, I
it's
think it's.
terribly. And Min had a strange short game.
Yeah, yeah. This one it was interesting. There was one move which was suggested by the computer to play was to play Queen F4 and try and bring the
Yeah.
knight.
I would have if I would have calculated exchanging on f6 as playing bishop takes f6 at the first time,
Yeah,
because it's not very easy to see how you can break through after, let's say, queen h4 and h5. Then no, I mean
Queen
no, if white plays, how do you try to break through as white?
H4 H5.
No, I play h5 as black.
Ah, you play
So
H5. Yeah.
and then I can
Yeah.
not really see this pawns on d file and e.
I will try in
Yeah,
second.
but I mean I can put, if I can put the bishop on
Yeah,
e8. That's
yeah, yeah.
it's a terrible bishop anyway. I can
Yeah, but it
put
doesn't look
it.
like fun to play, no?
No,
I mean,
no,
also,
no,
okay.
yeah, okay, of course. I first have to put the king on
But
h7 there, but I mean it's no. Maybe I'm just killing myself
yeah.
if I do play
But
play that.
now you can play H5 already.
No, you have to. Yeah, that's right. Oh, maybe
this
I'm
wouldn't.
totally
I
wrong here,
think
but
this would not be fun to take. I mean, I could also be
I would
wrong.
I would calculate it deeply
Yeah.
before I decide to something else, because otherwise
But
it's just
probably he.
otherwise it's at best at draw at best
Yeah, but
for
for
black.
black, a draw is not a bad result.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, let's go back to the games. One game that's super. I mean, okay, did you talk to Maria after the game? This is
No.
the weirdest draw I have ever seen in my whole life, I think.
All right.
Rook
Okay.
G8, King H1, and now Rook B8 was played.
No, but it must be. No, this is not.
I went into the playing hall. I looked at the score sheets.
Has it happened?
This happened. And I was so confused. The viewers were confused as well.
Yeah,
I think
I have yeah, and I mean these are not, because of course the first thing you think about is that they met at breakfast and think,
yeah,
oh,
but this is definitely not the
no
case
no no
with
no
these
no
two
no because they
players.
have never
Yeah.
met before,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
are 400 points
Yeah.
between them.
Apparently Maria was at some point completely winning, but yeah, this is just a funny. I'll go back to the games that are still ongoing.
Why will black accept?
I think black is much worse apparently. I don't know.
But I mean, is he so much worse
At some
that
point,
if
it
you
was
are like
+5, which is.
wow.
But I don't know. I guess it's
Okay,
not here.
I cannot understand this.
Yeah,
It's no, this is somebody has to. I have to ask Hilmir, because
Yeah.
Hilmir he's a good player and he probably had good reasons.
Yeah,
to,
I mean,
to...
I actually went to the playing hall during the broadcast because I couldn't believe
No.
the way in which it happened.
No. Okay, and but in some games where. Yeah, Adrian, he had a good game, or a good result, I should say, because
It's a pity.
But it's very strange that he couldn't win the ending.
Yeah, I think if he has half now on the clock, I think he will win, of course. But queens are just so tricky. I think even this, of course, should be winning.
No. Also, this is easy winning. This is just, you just have to go in the right way and take one step at a time. You can always
but I think
you can always no. It's really easy. But
but if it's so easy, then why did he not win?
Because chess is a difficult game.
But it can't be so easy
no,
and difficult
no,
at the same time.
No, but I mean, of course, you have made blunders yourself. You do that. You do that. I do it all the time. But
I think queen endings, like I played one recently, they are really not so. Even this queen ending that Niels was playing in.
This is almost exactly that.
Yeah, but Niels had to fight for 3 hours to win this game.
Yeah, but
like
you
2
have
hours.
but you have to do the moves.
That
is what's taking the time.
He only had 5 minutes on the clock. Niels had like half an hour.
Yeah.
And it took him 2 hours.
Yeah, no, okay. I shouldn't say that, but I mean, okay, it's if you compare to other positions that is kind of hard, that requires a lot of play. you just hide for the checks, take one pawn move, hide for the checks, take next pawn move,
Yeah,
and
but even here, I mean, if they agreed to draw in the end, I think it was already probably the king couldn't hide any longer, you know?
or it was 3 full repetition because and white missed it. Could that be a possibility?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Because it's not yet. Yes, it looks like it was 3 full repetition, and I guess.
Maybe that's what happened.
I guess that white just missed the 3 full repetition. That is my guess because Adrian would never take. But because it doesn't matter. White can try, even if it's like a. It's you can't anything and nothing can happen. Just
no, this of course. Yeah.
no. I believe it must have been that. Otherwise, it's impossible to understand. So I mean, it's okay with a draw, of course, to the high ranked player, but no, he I want him to score more.
Of course. Yeah.
And then some Swedes played against each other, I think, also, and Edwin Trost he got a point.
He played a brilliant game.
Yes.
Really brilliant game. Look at this, knight g5.
I want to play knight g5. Oh, and the queen is. Oh, everything is perfect placed. This is rook g1. Oh, wow. Now it's yes. Rook h5 next move probably, and just mate in 2. Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is nice.
No, but he needed that because he struggled with a few points.
And let's quickly, here was one game. I thought that Leo, when we last looked, I liked his position actually.
This is not Leo, is it? No, this is Leo. Yes. Wow, but this is still.
This is the position
still on
right now.
It's still on, and white is down on seconds.
Yeah, and black to move.
But I mean, this is. I have to count the pieces. Is it equal? Yes, it's. I mean, but then black must be totally winning. Queen f4. No, it's not possible because then you can take on d2, so it's not possible to do that. But you can. I mean, it must be a win here somewhere. This is. I mean, those bishops. Every piece is in the attack, and the king is kind of naked. I don't know, maybe queen d6 or something to.
Right, we've had some moves. He took on a2.
Maybe that is also good.
I like your move actually. Bishop queen d6.
Queen d6.
Because if white has to take,
and take with the pawn, yes, and then now it's very close to
so close,
very close to just winning. And you also threaten maybe rook takes e2 and queen d3, and let's takes, and I don't know, stupid move from white, and then rook takes e2 and queen g3 and bishop takes f3. It's over. So I mean, but maybe it's over anyway. So
queen b2 hitting.
All right, it's stuck. But you have to. Where can it go? Bishop b1.
Yeah,
no squares. It has no squares.
Oh my goodness, I didn't see it.
So and I can take a pawn and b pawn, and it's over anyway. Maybe it's even a quicker win, but I mean
Can I just play rook d8?
Of course, but I mean he will just win this game. This is not. It's wonderful, but it's not difficult anymore. It cannot be that.
Let's see, one more move. I think I would go for more than taking.
But rook d8. Your idea is probably because I cannot see the defense.
Yeah, because the problem is if you have to go like you're just stuck.
Because if you play rook d8, then it's no. Otherwise, queen d1 and rook e1, because you have to defend the after rook d2 next move. You have to defend the knight in some way.
And you can't.
What can you do? You can play.
No, I think rook d8 just looks over. No?
It probably just over also. So I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just very nice. He will be very happy.
Yeah.
With this game.
That will be a big scalp.
Yes,
big fight in this group, all decisive so far.
Yeah. And we also have
Thomas Ernst. I thought Thomas might be pressing. I think he's
He's playing Dagur.
he surely is pressing. That pawn is going to drop, and the
Yes.
knight is.
I don't know.
Huh?
He will win this game.
Yeah.
This is a grandmaster wins this game.
Yeah, I agree.
And Kim lost because he sacrificed the piece. He always do that. Kim Nygren.
It looked promising.
But I mean, I like this guy so much. It was his birthday yesterday. He was 41 years old. He has played chess for. It's a very nice guy to be along, and he's always playing. Yeah, he's. I mean, if he could sit on his hands sometimes, he would be 100 points more rated. But of course, this is fun. He always play for fun, and when it works, it's always so beautiful. So it's, but not today.
We were wondering actually if this was. I mean, it's hard to look at these positions without an engine, but.
No, but we are so good. So we are so good, so we don't need an engine. No, but it's always fun. It's always fun to watch his game.
This one was crazy how quickly it turned around. Like we thought, oh, this looks promising for black, but then suddenly this. I don't know if he just missed this. It's just mate.
Yeah, all right. Still, it's even mate.
I mean, he just resigned.
No, but I mean, it's. But I mean, if it's not working,
Leo has won the game.
Yeah.
Rook d8, and his opponent resigned.
Good catch. Good catch.
Very nice game, actually.
But I mean, it's this is. Oh, it's good for him. It's good for him.
Very nice.
Leo is not he's not so high rated player, but he still loves chess and he went took what is it called? Well, high school is over now for him, and he is planning to play a lot of chess.
Nice.
So he's going to Portugal next week for some tournaments.
Very
He's going to. Maybe I should go and get him. Get him for you.
Who are we? Leo, yeah.
Yeah, should I do that? Because he's worth talking about his game. Yeah,
absolutely.
I do that. Enjoy your chocolate.
Thank you.
And have a nice evening.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, so we'll see if Leo. Hopefully, Leo joins us. That would be nice. Let me bring up this game. His game. I think he's already here. Actually, sorry. Where did I lose your game now? There it is.
This one, yeah.
Leo, congratulations. Let me just refresh so that we lose my analysis. So we don't
thank you very much.
What a game. I will give you the mouse. But first of all, tell me, to beat with the black pieces such a high-rated opponent, how do you feel?
Yeah, it feels really good, especially since I have played not really good for quite some time. So it's very nice to it's finally letting go and finally playing some good chess.
So let's look at the game.
Yeah, okay. Basically, I play only d5, and I saw he was a d4 players. This was very expected, and usually I go e6 and I go some triangle, but I guess that was expected. I play the semislav very often, and I did expect knight f3 here, and then I maybe thought after e3 there was some strange thing, and I have seen this, but I am not very well versed with the theory here, so I have seen some top players play this, but I don't know what the idea is really, so I just went for this normal knight bd7, and I did expect knight ge2 here. I don't know how it is subjectively, but I did not. I mean, he took here, and I guess obviously the plan is he's trying to play some Queen's Gambit, and my bishop is stuck here, and I'm not very familiar with these structures for black, but I decided to play just normal sound moves. So, okay, what did he do here? He went knight g2.
Yeah, sorry, if you want, you can just
okay. He went knight d2, and I thought the bishop would be more active on d6. Of course, it might be vulnerable or some ideas, because I figured I had to do something. So I was playing some c4 at some point, but okay, if you're allowed to play bishop d6 and Queen's Gambit, it should probably be played. So h3, simply short castle. I mean, I cannot be worse because I have simply played sound moves, and I thought he would go for some. I mean, h3. I did think the idea was to wait with castle and some g4, but I mean, of course, it could be very scary playing black, but black should be fine because this is all good moves. I thought
I
a
like the way you're
yeah,
thinking. Like it's very
yeah,
logical. Like I can't be. I mean, I didn't do anything
no,
stupid, so how
because
could I lose?
normally I tend to have these like bad thoughts during game, like I'm worse where I have done a losing move. But if I simply think logically, I should be fine here. A3, I found A3 very strange. It's okay, it's a normal waiting move, but even when if I let's say if I go C5 at some moment, I won't have bishop B4 check. So I mean, if he has to be consequent, I thought he would go queen C2, bishop D2, long castles, and G4. A3 is most probably nothing wrong, but he has, I think he can combine both bluffs. It's either F3 E4 or it's some B4. I mean, if he's playing both, because in the game he got a lot of weaknesses. So A3, simply rook E8.
Did you even during the game think that A3 was weird?
No, I saw it as a normal waiting move, but I mean, I wasn't like scared, so it didn't do anything really. So queen E2, queen E7, and here I did expect G4 here, actually, and then he tried to go for some long castle, but he decided to castle short, and then H3. I mean, it could work in some moments, but also there could be a weakness on G3 if he tries to play F3, E4. And the thing with these structures, that white is always trying to go F3, E4, and it's whether black can do anything against it. Because if I do nothing, I have to go C5, and if I do nothing, I might probably be worse. I have played some A6 Queen's Gambit, and these structures are quite common, and then I have to find out something to do. But okay, I guess this C5 was simply okay. Not C5 here because I mean he could go knight. I think he could go like something like this. I'll take with knight, and he moves his bishop. Yeah, B5 maybe. And I can never really be better in this. I guess objectively it might be close to fine, but I would not enjoy playing this.
Isolated fun.
So I mean, this is always the problem with this C8 bishop. So simply B6, F3. But okay, actually here I thought it was fine. Because in the beginning I was scared he had some opening idea, but this was the first moment I think, okay, maybe I'm fine here. Because he doesn't have anything obvious. E4 is so far unplayable. And, but I was impressed by his... Okay, G4. White is obviously trying to attack, but then we have all these weaknesses that I could maybe use at some point. Okay, I might have weaknesses on my own, but White shouldn't just be able to like run me over and win. So this H6, I was considering between G6 and H6, and I decided to go for H6 because G6 he might try this. And there comes some E4 and my knight will be misplaced. H6, so this felt more fine, and he went his rook F2. I mean, at first the idea seemed scary, but this might be way too slow. So
yeah, also, I mean, your knights are great defenders.
Yeah, I went as a knight f8. At first, after knight f8, knight b5, I thought that I committed a mistake, but then my bishop went to a7 actually became useful, because normally
it became a real monster in the end.
Yeah, because normally you should go this rook c8, and now we have bishop b8 and rook is in game, but then we have some status quo, like white will try something, and I cannot really try something myself. That's why I went for this idea, because knight's better placed and is actually putting pressure on d4. Because so I'll go back here. I actually thought I had made a mistake after here, and it seemed like he would win a tempi, but that is only if I go back to d6, and then I saw the b6 weakness. I cannot go back to d6, but okay, then I saw this. It also covered this weakness, and I became more happy when I realized I will attack this pawn. So knight e6, queen d1. I mean, I think he kind of got stuck here because he has this ideal setup, but he's gonna try to do something.
Yeah,
and he
no matter which pawn move
and
he makes,
you don't really want to take here. I mean, and this f4. So, I mean, okay, I guess the idea with queen d1 was queen f1, queen g2, but I mean, I will not give him that much time, and that's why this bishop a7. And here, I think, yeah, he thought for a very long time here, some 15 minutes or such, trying to decide for something. And okay, after b5 he thought very much, because obviously taking c5 will be bad. I don't really actually know what he's supposed to do here. He went to one knight e2, which I think is logical, but here I might be. I don't know if I'm slightly better, but my position seems the more harmonic one because he has moved back with his knights for an attack that might not exist. And also this bishop d2 is, I mean, in the exchange queen's gambit where the structures are very common, the bishop often it's either exchanged or it's on h4 or f2 here. Then it's much better. The bishop seems kind of strange on d2.
Yeah, and I mean, somehow your bishops have found their way to these two lovely squares, and
But this one's area, I think
this one for now, yeah.
I mean, it has some potential, but it could also be really bad if you're stuck on the. But I mean, it's fine as long as it has potential. If I don't take on d4, so g6. I mean, his point was if I would take here, he would go knight f5 and take with a knight here. And then we could talk about my bishop is bad. So that's why g6 creates a weakness. But I have to stop this knight f5, I think. So there, and I did actually miss that this pawn was hanging. I thought he was giving away a pawn. So then I saw, but when I started to look further, I saw I was better here. But okay, of course I have to take. I could do some improvement move, but it gives him some time. So then he will go for some f4, f5 thing, I guess. So I took this pawn. At first I thought I won a pawn, but he took an h6. But okay, he won this h6 pawn, which is not that good, and I have this
central.
Yeah, this pawn. But also he has a lot of dark square weaknesses. And okay, I think my king is fine. And now especially when I went d4 here, because the rook was threatened here. So when I went d4, now my both bishops are very good, and I have especially in this e3 square. So I think here I'm much better. And he has to try to do something. He went queen b1, and it was whether if this sacrifice would work. I'm not sure actually, because I mean in a blitz game you could try it, but I think there should be some refutation here. But I was at queen b1. I thought the idea was taking on g6. I was a little bit scared. Here I have to decide between knight g7 and king h8. Knight g7, knight f5, and I don't think I can take this one, or maybe I can, because it seems quite scary. Because there's some here, and the king goes. I don't know h1 or g1, maybe g3. No.
What will you do after rook f2?
Okay, never mind. I missed rook f2 here, but okay.
Instead, maybe you can.
No, never mind. So this seems, but okay, I can go for some queen. But the problem with queen f7 is
you will take on g7, yeah. Or...
No, but okay, this seems fine because it's hanging. It's hanging on e2 here. So even if you get it in knight d6 here, I could go some this and take on e8 and. Even if here both pieces are hanging, so I mean I think in the end the tactics should work out in my favor. About this this seems a bit more scary for me, such as queen h5 here. Also I don't know about knight to knight 5. Maybe this is fine. But okay, such things might seem scary, but I think they should hold for me. And in the end he decided not to go for it. But okay, knight e4 was too slow, and okay, I could think that I want another knight on e3, but I remove his dark for the bishop, which I mean, it makes my king more safe. And here I started to think that I'm much better after knight 1 g3. And if queen b2 here, I calculated knight d4, but then I saw bishop d4. I think this one works.
Very nice, a knight f4,
yeah, I think this one works.
That's lovely.
Because of this knight f4, and I take d3, take e4. Because at first I was gonna go knight d4, which is also fine for me after queen e5.
Yeah.
I mean, since my position is so good, I guess most tactics work out for me. So knight g3. Did he? No. Sorry. He went with this knight.
Yeah.
And simply rook d8 and. Okay, I have to find out how to win here. I think
But you felt
I think it is very good, because if you simply look at the position without calculating anything, you see this passed pawn, this strong bishop. I look at white pieces. I mean, I must be winning.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to find a way, and this, and I don't know. Or maybe this sacrifice most probably doesn't work. But I mean, you have to check it. And let's say knight f5 here. I think I'll do fine after queen e5, basically because if f4 would be playable, but okay, and then some e2, I should be fine. Queen h6. Huh?
Oh, this is not so.
Maybe I did go wrong with the queen there.
Yeah.
Maybe some rook d7. But okay, this is. I mean, this is.
Rook d7 looks good, no?
Yes, and okay, there's no queen h6.
Yeah.
Queen f6. And okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but okay, at least.
Oh, there was queen h8 mate in the end.
Yeah, I mean this.
Yeah, it's not
So I'm not sure about
over yet.
knight f4 actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I should found something slower. I think this g6 it might still win for me, but I have seen the sacrifice before and I did allow it, so that might have been a chance for him. But he went 92, and after this, I mean this tactics, and
Yeah, now those bishops.
yeah, and I have some ideas of putting a rook on d2 and going queen g3, and now the bishops did the job basically. So rook d2.
It was a nice finish, actually.
Yeah, I considered taking the pawn, but okay, rook d8, and
funnily, Carla was here, and Carla said, "Well, you can just take," and I said, "I think he will play rook d8, and it will be over."
I mean take, and then he will go some h4,
yeah.
h5. I mean,
Yeah.
because and then, I mean also if this rook d8, bishop e4, I wouldn't take. I would go rook d8.
Yeah, exactly, and just a beautiful finish
Yeah,
to
thank
a
you very much.
beautiful game,
But okay,
Leo.
you cannot expect to win such games. It simply
Yeah.
happens if you play your best, because normally he should be a much better opponent, but if I do my best at some game, I could win. And
But I think you played confidently and
yeah,
well.
doesn't happen that often for me, but I'm really happy that it did happen in this game.
Well, what are you on now? What score?
I'm from 3-4 actually. I lost against Vignir yesterday.
You're on
and
3 out of 4.
Yeah, actually. And he
That's
was
not so bad.
No, he was on 3-3 actually now.
Wow, but that's a huge
Yeah.
score. So how are you looking forward to the second half? How do
Yeah,
you feel?
I got to know I was gonna play this IM tournament like hours before because they were missing participants. I did ask about playing this tournament like half a year ago, but then I didn't fit because of my rating.
Yeah.
But now I'm really happy to have been given the opportunity to participate,
Wow.
and I seems to take well care of that.
Well, that's fantastic. Leo, I'm going to let you go, but thank you so
Yes.
much and best of luck for the remaining rounds. I hope we'll have you back, and
Yes.
what a beautiful game.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much.
Thank you so much. Wow, well, that was a lovely, lovely game. And what a performance so far. I'm looking forward to following Leo's results in the remainder of the games. And I guess while we were talking, let's see how much is still going on. In this group, we still have this endgame, which probably is winning for black. And in the IM1 group, everything is over. Keneskog against Sahidi. We can leave, I think, we can leave the GMs. We will go there because IM1 group, everything is over. Keneskog ended in a draw. Söderström, this we saw. Jokstad against Johansson was also a draw, and Edwin Trost got the only win of the day in this group. And let's see our GMs. Tiger Khan against Tiger ended in a very fighting draw. And only one game remains. This rook ending, Mihail Marin against Ludwig Carlson. So only 2 games remain. Marin against Carlson and this Dagwer against Ernst game. Rook d7. And let's see what is going on here. If I go back just a few moves to try and understand. So what's the idea if the king goes back to g8? King g8. Help me out. We're on our own. We're all alone in the room. I'm trying to wrap up the show, but I want to figure out first. Is this a win or is this a draw? Check king here. What if we just keep checking the king? But now we can put the king to g6, huh? You know what I think? I think this is a draw. Chocolate rating. The chocolate is good. It is good. It is milk chocolate. Milk chocolate in general. Not the biggest fan of milk chocolate, but it is much needed after all these hours. Draw by checking the king. What is going on here? But if the king runs, maybe the king cannot run too far. But here e6 wins, right? We can't do that. But if I go here, this looks enough to draw, no? And then we get behind the pawn. I think my verdict is this is a draw. King g6 is played now. I think we could have checked first, but I think this is just a draw now. I don't think white can make any progress here. If the rook moves, well, rook here would even lose to rook d1. So I think we'll have a draw here. I think we'll see a draw here, and I don't think it's gonna go on for too much longer. I think there's only so much white can try here. Now what? But now if we, no, it's not over just yet. But check, and then go back, and rook here, and then we just wait. Rook endings are not my forte. Where is Alex? I know. This is not what you want me to commentate on. I'm very tempted to say this is gonna be a draw. Take my word for it, and we'll call it a day. What is this? Did he actually allow? Maybe that is also just a draw, yeah? Actually, this just... Oh, I would never allow this. What is this? I'm so confused. What am I missing here? Maybe that? No. No. What just happened? King f5. Truth cheated, and what did the cheating table bases say? Draw. Do they still say draw after king f5? Is king f5 still a drawing move? Let me know. I'm super curious. Yes. Then what am I missing? Then what am I missing after rook f7? Rook f7, rook takes e5, and what worried me here? Rook e7 worried me. Rook a5. But I must be completely blind. Rook a6. Okay. And then we get behind the pawn. Oh. And then? Oh, why am I so bad at endgames? Actually, don't tell me rook f6 loses, yeah? So... rook a8 is needed. Okay, but this is not that obvious, or is it? Is this so obvious? Yeah, it's obvious that this is a draw. And if the king tries to approach, we approach as well. And that's a draw. This is a threat now, and there's no way to make progress. Okay, we figured it out. It is a draw. Mihail Marin only has 1 minute. Okay, we'll stay till the bitter end. See the draw happen. Quick look at the only other game that is still going. Poor Dagor. I think he's going to lose. He is still fighting. Can he salvage the draw here? Ludwig has been playing very well, I have to say. If he holds the draw here, very impressive result First of all, to hold the draw with black against Marin is impressive anyway, but especially from this endgame a pawn down. Very nice defense. King f5. Is the clock time correct for Mihail? I guess so. It's always tricky here in Sweden. When you look outside, it feels like it's still so bright. At home, this time of the day, wouldn't be that bright, but 7 p.m. We're just about to enter the 5th hour of play, and nothing has happened. No. Oh, what happened? King e7 was played, and King g6 and Rook d5. Okay. What do? We just maybe give jacks from the side now. Or we just wait. We just wait and white cannot make progress. Actually, white cannot try anything now. White has to try this. But didn't the king just come from there? If we just keep waiting. There's nothing. You know what? I think, Axel, we earned an early-ish night. I don't think we're going to watch the end of this endgame because Marin could be trying for a long time to come. But I think this will be a draw. Remember, you can just type !games to follow the games by yourself. And I think we will call it a day. Where will we send you? Let's send you once again to Johnny. He is here in Uppsala with us after all. Johnny, I have always struggled to type his name. Did that work? No, that didn't work. Not very good at streaming, am I? Okay. Now it worked. So thank you so very much for watching today. This has been round 4 of the Uppsala Chess Festival. Tomorrow, round 5, I will be joined by Grandmaster Harry Schüssler. This will start this time, I think, for real at 2 p.m. Yeah? Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Central European summertime. So an hour earlier than today. And yeah, look forward to it. Thank you so much for watching today. And we'll be back for more tomorrow. Have a great evening.